They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Joining me each and every single week is Sgt McClusky, who wasn't supposed to be here. And then Kinger. Oh, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, Kinger. You're
Oops, sorry.
And Kinger was supposed to fill in for him, and then Sarge said, I can make it, so we got an extra packed show for you this evening. So our guest this week is the Kingard. Love watching his videos. If you guys don't know who he is and you've never seen his stuff, go check out the Kingard on youtube.com. He does some really good, they're video essays, right? They're like video essays of different topics, so like pre-orders and stuff like that. So Sarge, how you doing?
Hanging in there.
Kingard, how you doing?
Doing good. Just had some crawfish.
Appreciate you coming out on the show and filling in for Sarge, even though Sarge is here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much news this week for there to only be two of you.
That's right. We need more people. And then before I even get started on what the show is about and what we do here, YouTube Lurker with the 20 gifted bomb. I appreciate that very much for the continued support. Very kind. Good evening, chat. How's everyone doing? YouTube Lurker with that 20 gifted memberships. So I appreciate that very much. All right, so on today's show, we have lots of topics. We might not get to them all, but for me later in the edit, we're going to talk about the Arrowhead stuff, the Helldivers debacle that happened right after we got, like it happened 30 minutes after we went live last week, and then the weekend just exploded. So we'll talk about that whole Sony thing with Helldivers. We're going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima, what they just did. We're going to talk about the X-Men 97 Airbnb that I kept pushing off week after week, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Xbox layoffs that happened, about the 4 studios. We're going to talk about Redfall. We're going to talk about Hi-Fi Rush. We're going to talk about the handheld for Xbox as well. We're going to talk about Phil Spencer and what's going to happen to him. They're bombing him inside of Fallout 76. Did you hear this news, guys? This is.
I did.
It's happened 5 times before, so it's not a big deal.
I'll show them.
We're going to talk about Game Pass and what clarifies as a successful game, right? We're going to talk about Remedy Studios since Kinger's a big Alan Wake fan. We're going to talk about that happen because they said it was the fastest selling game they've ever done before, and yet they haven't made their money back yet for it. So we'll get a little bit of insight there. What else do we got going on here, guys? I think I got the handheld. We got the EA. We're going to talk about EA. They got a couple stories about EA. We got EA talking about putting in-game advertising in there. We got EA talking about how they're going to use generative AI, and then we got EA talking about that it's the largest team ever. Oh, look at this. He's even bringing the dogs in.
The wife's not home right now, so I gotta. You see me looking around the room, it's because I hear the dog making noise.
We got Mark Hamill coming back as the Joker. We're going to talk about Marvel's Rivals a little bit, and then we're going to talk about Dead Island 2. The dev confirms it passed the 1 million player milestone, so we'll talk about that. And that's all on today's show, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. We're here Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm. And as of last week, we realized that you can also listen to us or watch us over on YouTube Music. The podcasts are there, so you can listen to us over there. So there you go. So, how you guys doing? You guys have a good week?
I mean, doing good.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
I have to stop watching television altogether, but I'm hanging in there.
I watched the Tom Brady roast, and let me tell you, highly recommend it if you like comedy. There's some really good comedians, there's some really bad comedians, but at the same time, overall, more positives than negatives. It was pretty funny. So,
was Nikki Glazer on screen for more than 30 seconds?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll pass then.
Yeah, she had the best set of roasting people.
Really? That's shocking.
Yes. She had the best one, and the second best one I think had to go to I forget the guy's name, Tommy something. He's on Joe Rogan all the time. I forget his name. Scrawny guy, talks about wrestling a lot. I forget his name, but he roasted everybody really good. What I didn't like about the roast, I was talking to Sarge about this last night on the stream, is that they had teleprompter, and that kind of irritated me because old roasts, it was about like professional comedians just roasting each other off the you know what I mean, like off the cuff. It wasn't like rehearsed or anything like that. And because they have like reality stars and like sports stars and all this other stuff, they put it all on the teleprompter, and you can see people on the stage as people are telling jokes, their lips moving because they were reading what the teleprompter was saying behind the comedian that was talking. I was like, oh, come on. So yeah, it was a little weird, but still fun. It was still a fun time. So I'm gonna go into what we've been playing. I'm gonna do the little tie-in, and then you guys can we'll go to each of you and see what you guys have been playing the last week. Insert music here. All right. We're going to let the guests go first because we already know what Sarge played. So we're going to let... Oh, is it different this week?
Kinger, you can still go.
So, Kinger.
No, fill me in. What'd you play, Sarge?
Oh, no, he's eating
he's
eating
Whatever,
cookies.
That's a
he's eating
nice
cookies.
Cop out. All right.
So
what did I play this last week?
Yeah, what you been playing this last week?
So on the streaming channel, we're currently on the tail end of Alan Wake 2. So finishing that up. I only stream once a week for like scheduled streams, so it takes a while to finish a game. But on my own time, finishing up that Ubisoft video, I actually started playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla just to see what the newest iteration of Ubisoft stuff was, because I kind of wanted a frame of reference for what maybe like what Star Wars would be like.
Right.
It was, I wouldn't call it hate playing. I went into it with an open mind.
Did you?
I did. And it was honestly exactly what I thought it would be. Slightly worse than I thought it would be, but almost exactly what I thought it would be. And then I played something. What was it? Oh, Fallout New Vegas for the first time. I've never actually played that game. And I watched the Fallout show, and I was like, everyone's talking about New Vegas, man. And you know, that's what happens when a good TV show adaptation of a game comes
right, you get
out.
excited.
Makes you want to play the game. I've seen people play New Vegas. I'm not a stranger to it, but I have never sat down with a controller and played it myself. So I started a playthrough of New Vegas. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
What do you like Bethesda games?
Generally, no.
Okay.
There are some Bethesda games that I like, but not as a genre. No, I do not.
Right, you don't like those type of games, yeah. And right. I think you'll like New Vegas. When it came out way back when, it was buggy as all hell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they rushed it out the door. Surprise, surprise. It was in development for like 15 or 18 months, something like that. And when they put it out, so it was really buggy. It was just as buggy as any other Bethesda game. Just put it that way. But the story of New Vegas is probably one of the better, if not the best, out of all the...
That's what I've heard, and I've never messed with New Vegas because I played Fallout 3 a ton. And then I tried Fallout 4, wasn't really feeling it. I ended up wasting so much time on like the base building stuff just to realize it was pointless. And I think that's kind of when I stopped. And then I saw New Vegas. It came out pretty close to 3, if I remember. And I kind of just thought in my head, oh, it's probably going to be the same game again.
Right.
But like even a decade later, people are still saying it's like the best Fallout game. Someone in your chat just said it a second ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've never played it myself. I'm going to give it a whirl, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Who said it was the best in chat? Who said that? Oh, Eclipse. All right, he's credible. We can trust him.
I mean, the decisions.
Go ahead and tell us who wouldn't be credible.
That'd be Travis. Travis wouldn't like it. No, I'm messing with Travis.
Not credible. Not credible.
Go ahead, Charles. What were you gonna say?
No, he's correct. The reason why Vegas did so well is because it has a lot of endpoints for storylines that you think that you can just breeze on by. Like if you make a choice, the choice leads to this and it ends. That's it. You don't get to go back and change it or whatever else. Like the decisions actually make sense.
People save scum all the time anyway, though.
Save scum is one thing, but it's
not me. Not
all
this
the
guy.
All the other Fallouts have like these lackadaisical type of decision making. You're supposed to feel like you're making decisions, but not really. Whereas in Vegas,
that's a mega town.
Yes, Yes. Well, Megaton, right?
Yeah.
Megaton, yeah.
Yeah. But they did, even though the game was buggy, they did the best version of it there because it felt more survival-ish because you had to keep repairing the weapons because they kept breaking, and you had a drink if you put on the hardcore version. Like you actually felt like you were in the desert. They made it feel more immersive of Fallouts.
Oh, you know what? I was trying to think of what it was last night. I played Pal World for the first time. Sat down and tried Pal World.
What'd you think about that?
So I've played a lot of Ark in my lifetime.
Okay.
And at the very beginning of Pal World, I was like, this is what I'm used to. You know, I don't know if I have it in me to do this again. But then when you get to the part where you can actually start having your pals work on stuff for you, I was like, oh my God. Like, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I could see myself sitting down and playing it again, even single player. Like, I was having a good time.
Yeah, it's fun, especially when you get into it. We had a community server that we had, so we had people building bases at different places and stuff, and then working together to build it up. It's a fun game. And now they're putting like an arena mode in there, so now you can do like Pokemon battles basically. So like if you had a group of your pals, like, you can go into an arena with me, and like we can fight each other with them. So I'm gonna go back and probably check that out when they update that.
It's not Pokemon, it's pals.
That's right. It's still Pokemon though.
Yeah,
right. Sarge, what have you been playing for the last week? Hold on a second. Did you open the box yet?
No, it's right there.
Still didn't open the box. I know what you're playing though. So go ahead.
Yeah. So after discussing a couple things with you last week,
yep.
Right. And then you downloaded the launcher to see if it would work.
Right after the show. We talked about it on the show about
right after the
Battle
show.
of Middle Earth. You can download it, right?
Right. So there was an old game from back like in the O's, like 07, 09, where it was Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle Earth, right? And then there was a sequel 2 years later, Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle Earth 2, and then there was
excellent game.
Right, and then there was the Wrath of the Witch King.
Yeah.
Was the addition to that? So he said to me that it's possible to play it. I looked around for it, couldn't find it. He found a launcher with these guys who hacked it because nobody has the license for it anymore.
That's not true, Sarge. I didn't find anything. We're on the internet now. Okay.
Whatever, right? I looked it up, right?
I bought it and paid for it in full.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I found the launcher. You can actually the guys who cracked it actually have different patch levels, whatever patch level you want to play for both 1 and 2, and it works.
Perfect.
And I got a beast of a machine, so it runs like glass.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
It runs
right
perfect.
now. I'm looking at 25-year-old graphics, and I'm thinking, you know what? If this looked just a little bit better, like Warhammer Total War 3, like we're in the same boat. That's what it looks like, right? Just the lesser version of that. And I've been playing that for a week because it's a game and it's fun.
Which I find funny because he's got Baldur's Gate 3, which is an awesome game, right?
But I know the time.
I got it.
I know the time commitment. I don't have it
Sarge
yet.
is taking that 7-year average and he's boosting it way up. He's playing a 19-year-old game. 18-year-old game.
The playtime of Baldur's Gate 3, isn't it capped at like 100 hours or something?
No.
Like there's not much to do after that point?
No. Some people are still in Act 1 at like 80 hours, 100 hours.
What are they doing?
They're probably fucking bears. I have no idea what they're doing.
Hey, but seriously, Sarge, that game is the game I still to this day use as an example of a trend that I miss. Like when everybody came out with RTS games, and there's good things that come of trends. That is the game I use as an example. Like that was an excellent thing to come from that trend.
Think about what they did in that game in the time period that they did it. In the lower part of the screen, while you were playing the actual game, scenes from the movie would play in the corner, describing what was going on for the view of you moving around doing the RTS shit. Like if you were doing like the Battle of Helm's Deep, the movie scenes are in the corner. Like,
yeah,
has that been done ever again?
No. That takes time.
It hasn't.
Sarge. That takes time.
Hey, Lord of the Rings games were a different breed. When they were coinciding with the movies around the same time.
It's amazing how they did that, right? Amazing how they did that.
Yes.
They don't do that now.
Such a good game. And the second one just added to the flavor of it, because in the original game you had the spots where you had to build in these areas, where in the second one you could just build wherever you wanted. Right, that made it even more interesting, because when you played like online against people, you had to find that like hidden little base he puts in the corner someplace. So you you think you win, but you never really win because he's got a cockroach farm in the back corner somewhere that you don't know it's there. right? So the game would go on forever. Like and I the same way I felt playing Battlefront 2 with you, I get that when I got all the riders of Rohan running around on horses, running them all down. I love that about that game. You can get the horses, and I never even stop to fight them. I just keep running them down. I'd run at full speed, and I just run them all down. It's just fun. It's a fun RTS without all the craziness mixed in with it. Now, of course, you already know I play my hell let loose with my clan.
Yep.
Right. I'm staring at Baldur's Gate 3. I want to play it, but not this weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend. Actually, it's
you'll be up
brother's birthday, Father's birthday, and Mother's Day. It's a trifecta.
It's a busy week. It's a busy weekend.
Right? And yes, I was eating cookies because I promised myself 1 box of Girl Scout cookies a month. 1 box, right?
A month.
One a month. I buy a case and a half.
I know you buy them from our cousin. Yeah.
Yeah, I buy 1 case and a half. And then I have to eat them on the second week of the month because I made it like a little game. Like I'm 2 week.
What is it
second
like?
Week?
What is it like?
2 weeks.
Age
2 week for cookies. No, 2 weeks. 2 week for cookies. That's how I
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. They sound like a bird. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
What movie is that? Anybody know what movie that is from?
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
Anybody know what movie that is from? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You sound like a bird, right? What movie is that from? You win absolutely nothing but points, made up points as we go along. But if anyone can get that, don't look it up now. You got to use your brain. You got to use your brain.
You win a membership from Lurker.
that already happened.
Dark Taco. If I ate the amount of cookies I want to eat, I'd be back up to that weight I was before. I've taken a lot of time, stopped drinking, and I've been exercising to get down to this weight. So yes, I had to convince myself of 1 box of Girl Scout cookies a month. Yes.
People are just blindly putting names in the chat. I'll give you a hint. It's a member. Tom Hanks is in the movie.
Old movie.
Tom Hanks is in the movie.
Let him sweat. Let him sweat. Don't give him any answers. Let him sweat.
Now, see, I hate when these things pop up. I appreciate Dark Taco. I think it reads itself, or I can read it, then it reads it itself. I'll read it in just a second. I'll let that go and see if it reads itself. If it doesn't read it,
like audibly reads itself?
Yeah, it audibly reads itself, I believe. Yeah.
The point I'm making is I'm playing a 25-year-old game, and my face hurts from smiling while I play it. Right? That's what playing games for me is. Right? So if I'm not smiling or having fun with the game, I don't care anymore. I don't play it.
Right. I just want to have fun.
I want to have fun. Yeah.
No, you want to spend money. Stop it.
Well,
you want to open your wallet and give Microsoft all the money as much as possible so they can close down a studio.
All right. It looks like it's not going to read it, so I'm going to read it. Okay. Dark Taco membership for 3 months. Appreciate that. Satya kicked its daddy Phil's door, told him to cut dead weight. Rip Dishonored 3 2024 is going to be wild, gentlemen. It's not even June. See, I think a lot of people are just blowing this out of proportion. I do. Right? Because I went back and looked at a bunch of news stories. Okay? A bunch of news stories. And going way back to 2006, 2009, 2011, 2013, 2016, 2017, 2019. There was hundreds and hundreds of people losing their jobs in the video game industry from studios closing down, from either EA or from Take-Two or from LucasArts or from Activision or from Microsoft. Like, it just constantly happened. So I look at this and I'm like, this is just, hence the title of the episode is business as usual. Just business as usual, right? And Dark Taco, thank you very much for the gifted membership. Appreciate that very much. So, all right, let's go on. I didn't play anything. I played Fallout 76. That's where I'm playing. That's all I've been playing. I've been playing Fallout 76. I can't stop playing it. And I played Star Wars Battlefront 2. So let's get on to we have lots of topics. So let's get on to the top stories. All right. I'm gonna bring up the first story, which is it's an X-Men 97 Airbnb. Okay. X-Men 97 Airbnb. So I've been pushing this off for like a week and a half now. So X-Men 97 Airbnb offers Marvel fans a chance to stay in iconic X mansion. So the show itself, is actually not a piece of shit. Right? X-Men 97. I don't know if you guys are a fan of the original show back in the 90s, in 97. But the show came out on Disney Plus. They have the new season out. I watched 4 of the episodes so far, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It actually reminds me of exactly what the old show was. And so someone created a house, and I'll show the video footage of it right now. Okay. They made a house and you can rent it, right? You can rent this thing. You guys can see it on the stream. It'll start to be a little bit delayed. So Xavier's School, right? So they actually got the things throughout the lawn, right? You can actually go inside. They have like the danger room. They have the hallways. They have the pictures of the characters on the wall. So like if you're a fan of X-Men and if they made a Harry Potter house or anything like that, this is awesome, right?
This is pretty cool,
right?
I gotta say, like I'm too old for this, but if I was a kid, come on, bro.
Yeah, this would be amazing if you were a kid.
Come on, bro.
Right? They got.
I make this a field trip with like the neighbors' kids. Like we'd all just go.
Look at this. They have a danger room, right? And I love how they made it look like the actual comic book, right? Like the comic, like the show itself.
This is actually in the house. This stuff's actually in the house.
Is there a filter on this footage or something? Because that, like,
no,
it looks animated.
Yeah, no. This is how they painted it. This is how they painted it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Are you serious? Is this real?
This is real.
Are you joking with me?
No, this is real. This is real. Yeah. So
this is real.
Yeah, this is real. Yeah, they made it everything look.
Somebody bought a house and turned it into this to use as an Airbnb.
They bought a mansion, yeah, and turned it into Xavier's School. Yeah, look, you got Wolverine's room. You got his mask on there. Can you pick that up, or is that glued down? I don't know.
I bet you it's glued.
This is incredible.
Can't use the workbench.
It's like living inside of a model house.
Can I just make my house this? Look at this. This is fantastic. They got the X-Men arcade game in the room. Oh man, look at this.
At least they're following the actual realm of X-Men.
Think about this, right? This person that put the Airbnb is closer to the lore than any TV show we've seen in the last decade. They've gone all in with this, right? There's the office. You got the danger room. You got. I thought it was amazing. I was like, I wanted to talk about it last week, but we pushed it off. I was like, and I wanted to talk about it during the week, and I pushed it off. And I was like, you know what? I'll just push it back onto this show. I thought this was amazing. I said if my son was an X-Men fan, even if he wasn't an X-Men fan, and my wife would let me go here, I would go here because this looks amazing. The attention.
At what point? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the attention to details is amazing.
But stuff like that makes me wonder, at what point is it no longer the place you stay? And at what point does it become the destination? You know,
right? Like if you're going,
I guarantee you, X-Men fans would love to go for that specifically. Not, I don't even know where's it even at. What's it nearby?
I'm trying to see what right now. Real quick, the book one night stay at the X Mansion for $97 per person, or enjoy a 2-hour X-Men 97 day trip starting May 9th. So you can book.
There you go. So you don't even have to stay there. You can just go visit.
You can just go visit, which is smart because if they don't book it, then they can just come as a museum. I'm looking.
Where is it?
I'm looking. Give me a second.
Well, that feeds into my point though, is we don't even know where it's at. We're sitting here Googling at it.
It's transformed a mansion in Newcastle, New York. So there you go, Newcastle, New York. Sarge is booking it right now. He's booking it right now. So yeah, so $97 per night. That's pretty cool, man. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and enough fun. Now we get to serious business, okay? Started off lighthearted, and now we go into deep business. So last week, during the show, Helldivers and PlayStation decided to sacrifice themselves to the lords of the PC gamers, okay? And they slit their throat, and they were bleeding out on the floor, okay? Because Helldivers said that you will no longer be able to play this game without a PlayStation Network. You have to sign up. And they were like, that's not going to happen. EC said, we've been playing this game for 3 months and we're not signing up. And they're like, just sign up. It takes 2 minutes. Right. So then all of a sudden I never understood these people that defend corporate media, like the corporate people. They're like, just sign up. It just takes 2 minutes. What's the big deal? And then they find out they didn't have to sign up. And they're like, why did I sign up? I don't understand. Why do I have to sign up? And they don't have to sign up. It's because you're a weak fetal person that doesn't have any backbone. That's why, right? So what do you make of this, Kinger? You know, you've been playing Helldivers. You enjoyed it, right?
Love Helldivers too.
You have a PlayStation, right? So you already have a PlayStation Network account.
I play it on the PC.
Right, you have Helldivers on the PC, but you have a PlayStation as well, right? Or do you only have an Xbox?
I do. So I have a PlayStation account. Like one exists. I've never linked it to my Helldivers.
Right.
But it exists. It's out there.
Now, I bought mine 6 days after it came out. I never saw anything pop up. right? Never saw
No.
anything whatsoever. Now, I do know it's on the Steam site that it says in the yellow bars down below, but I never actually scrolled down that far because I looked at the game and the buy button was way above the part that said I need a PlayStation Network account, which is my bad. I'll admit that, right? But that was the only place that it would be. And I would never go back there to look at it again because I already bought the game, right? So when did you buy the game? You bought it. Did you buy it? I know you didn't buy day one because you were after me, I believe.
Yeah, I gave it a little bit to stew. I want to see that's usually my thing. I wait a little bit. I got it. It had been a few weeks. I mean, it had been a few weeks after launch.
And you never saw anything.
No, never, not once. In fact, I didn't even know that Sony had that expectation until this news came out this week.
Right.
I had no clue. But I will say, I think the debate over whether or not Sony's allowed to do that is a good debate because it's right there. It's been saying that. It's there. But what kills it, what destroys the debate, is the fact that they still offered the game in countries of the world where you can't get a PlayStation account.
Right.
That if they hadn't done that, and they was only offered in places with PlayStation account, you just couldn't make one till later, then I would be like, that's inconvenient, but I get it. But no, that's tossed out of the window, gone. That's just
a lot
we don't own our media. That's what it is.
A lot of people were arguing, well, they told us it was like this ahead of time, and the CEO came out and said that, I knew. He said this after the fact, while the whole thing was being burnt down. He said we knew 6 months before the game was launching, and then on day one, because the servers were being overwhelmed, they had to take it and remove it. So that was on them. They removed it. Okay, so the only people that saw that you had to sign up for or saw that screen was the day one actual people the first couple hours. After that, they removed it because it was messing up the sign-up process and people getting into the servers. So they removed it, and then Sony themselves said it was optional, right? And then after this whole thing debacle happened, on May 3rd, it still said optional, but on May 4th, they changed it from optional to it will be able to sign up. So they changed the wording because obviously if it says optional,
it's required.
Yeah. I don't know if it says required. It says
may be required.
Yeah. May need a sign up or whatever. But so now they changed the wording to save their asses in the future. But while all this was happening and people were pushing back saying, I'm not going to sign up, then you had the community managers, which Helldivers up to this point has been pretty good, right? I mean, really good. I mean, they responded real fast on how to tell people what was going on with the thing. The live service aspect of this game, I've given it praise. It's like amazing. It's an actual live service game, right? Like they actually keep updating it. It's constantly moving, no roadmaps. They're just doing stuff.
Live service with the service.
Right, with the actual service, right. And then all of a sudden the community manager comes out and starts rebelling against the people, and then later finds out that 177 countries can't sign up for a PlayStation account because there is no PlayStation account. So Sarge, what do you think about this whole thing? Because I know you don't play Helldivers, right? So what do you think of this whole thing from the outside looking in? You're muted, Sarge.
It's not because I don't want to play it. It's just that I know my budget for time, and I can't have another one in the pile.
I got it. Baldur's Gate 3 is still sitting in the box. No.
Still sitting in the box. Right. So I agree with Kingard, and then I'm going to add something to that. Right. Everyone looks at this like it's it's the corporation. Those are the rules. That's what was written, and so that's just the way it is. 100%. I get that. However, you purposely, because you want the money, to sell it in countries that could not sign up.
They had no problem selling it to those people, right?
So now what that becomes is you're basically leveraging the ones who are in countries that can buy it. You're making them buy it, and then you don't care about the ones that just threw you the money and now they're out of it. Like, it's such a disrespect and disregard for your consumer base that it's not even like an oops a daisy and let's call in HR and talk about it. It's like that was purposeful, right? You wanted to collect the money, you got the money. Now you wanted to leverage the fact that so many people were buying it, because let's not mince words. If the game was mediocre, they would have never done it. They would have
Right.
never done it.
Right.
They would have never done it. They wouldn't have cared. They would have just went along doing what they were doing. But because the numbers were so big for such a small title, right? They wanted to encapsulate those email addresses and get them into the marketing. That's what they wanted.
It's for your
right?
safety. That's what they told you. It was for your safety.
If you
It's
you
so
believe
that
that
we
kind
can
of stuff,
ban people. Yeah. So for your protection.
yeah. Anytime they start talking that way, it makes me angry because it's a bold-faced lie. See, the difference between me and the rest of the gaming world is I'm the old man. I get it. I have seen everything up to now. I've seen it all, right? I cannot help anyone in their 20s discuss about the consumer and how they buy video games. They're not going to listen to me. Wisdom is wasted on the young. You don't want to know. You want to live in this, so now you're in it, right? I have seen it. It makes me so angry that they do it to take advantage of the consumer base and then try to leverage their position. And everyone just walks around like it's not a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. When do we get consumer protection in this industry, right? Because if we're allowed to sell stuff like this and you don't own it and I can leverage you, and I mean, what else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just walk around with my wallet out and just hold it out and then just let them take whatever they want out of it because I've got no rights on anything?
Right.
Right. Oh, but you're entertained. That's the whole thing. Well, you bought it because you like it. That's just it. It's like clicking yes on any kind of screen that comes up on your computer and it says I agree. Back in the day when we were growing up, it said I agree and I don't agree. Right. Today, it only says I agree. Right. There's no I don't agree. Right. So you have to press it. And this is where we are. I'm like, I don't understand. Why doesn't anyone ask questions? Why?
Well,
how hard up for entertainment are you that video games is it, and you're willing to throw money at the wall without question?
Well, then we had the community manager that was fighting back at the community, telling them, "Yeah, go ahead, refund your thing." Then
That's not a community manager.
Then he came
None
out.
of them are.
Then he came out and said, "Sony's not listening to us. We need you to review bomb the game." So he told people to actively review bomb the game, and then he went radio silent. And then we find out that he lost his job. Okay, or they lost their job. I don't know if it was a guy or a girl or whatever.
Is that confirmed?
It is confirmed. Yes, he actually came out,
Okay.
and yeah, it's confirmed. So he
That's
lost it.
not a community manager.
Well, this is the best part, right? So the CEO, who's been very vocal about being very transparent, he's the best community fucking manager they have, and he's the CEO running the company right now. You see what I'm saying? Like the community managers are literally like they're crumbling from the inside, and this guy's like, "Can you guys just shut up and like let me be my own community manager. Let me talk." And he's very forthcoming about what's happened. He said that we knew about this going ahead, and I'm speaking in my opinion. I think that Arrowhead didn't want to agree to this in the very beginning. I truly believe this, right? Now, I have no proof of this just because of the stuff that happened, right? I think Arrowhead wanted to make this game, and obviously Helldivers is owned by Sony, and Arrowhead wanted to make this game, and obviously Sony wanted to give them the money, and they're like, all right, we'll do what you have to say. And they're like, well, we're looking for live service games, and we would really like you to get the PlayStation Network. And they're like, okay, we'll do it, right? And they got to the point now, they're like, oh, we'll deal with it when it comes here, right? And it was leading 6 months up. They postponed it. Then the thing happened. They had it live. It had problems. They're like, yeah, a lot of people can't get into the servers. If we just remove this, it'll be fine. And they're like, okay, great. So go ahead, remove that. We'll do it later. And I think they kind of set themselves up for this. And I think it's pretty funny because Sony, 3 months in, this is why people had the problem. If it was day one, I don't think people would have batted an eye. I think they would have had an option. They would have been like, I don't want to sign up, and they don't get it. And they would have moved on with their lives. But because it was 3 months and they had so much fun playing this game, and they really liked the community and they really liked the stuff, I think that was the point, that the straw that broke the camel's back was the 3 month thing. What do you guys think?
The whole chain of events, I would give Arrowhead the benefit of the doubt. I would be like, it's the big bad publisher. They have their requirements. But where was the announcement for this?
Right.
6 months leading up to the game's release, and then for the what 3, 4 that it's been out.
Yeah, 3 months.
Where was it? There's no way. Now here's a different scenario. Imagine day one, It's on Steam, and anyone can download it. They remove PlayStation, and accidentally, it's available to 177 extra countries. And they have to walk that back, do a bunch of refunds. So sorry that happened. I'd be like, that sucks, but I get it.
Right.
3 months. They allowed it to continue to be purchased and played, and no one said a peep until they finally said, hey, we're going to go ahead and enforce this now. By the way, what I mentioned to you earlier, I think that's about to happen, so I may have to jump off for like 60 seconds, and I'll be back.
You're good.
But yeah, that's my take on it. Where was the announcement before? They had 9 months to do it.
Well, the next part of this, I got to get where the hell did the thing?
The answer to that is very simple, because even Arrowhead didn't know. Like,
well, they knew. They didn't know about the countries. You're right. They didn't know about the countries that couldn't.
But they don't. Like, every company who's making a game, right? They sit around, they discuss it. There's all these tests about everything. They don't just make a game and throw it out in the wild, right? Research, development, see how people like, what's going on, different regions of the country, what do they like? Like, there's a whole bunch of factors that go in on making a game. It's not just we're sitting around making a game and it's done and let's see what happens, right? They decided that this is the kind of game they make, and then they said to themselves, so what do you think we're going to sell, right? What's your take on this? Like, what do you guys perceive our sales are going to be? And so they're like, well, we figured maybe like 2, maybe 3 million sales, right? Maybe we can push it out near Christmas again and see if we can get another push for sales. Maybe, initially like maybe 300,000, 400,000 by the end of the year, maybe a couple million, right? When the sale comes out for Christmas, like they discuss it, right? So when the game comes out and it busts through, it actually literally kicked down the door, because it was, lo and behold, what I would call old school game, multiplayer, fun for all, shoot 'em up with your friends, and you're hanging out, right? Everyone decided to love it because why? Because that type of game is fucking missing.
Right.
There's nothing back here. There's not one game that does what Helldivers does, and Halo could have did it 3 years ago.
You could have done a lot longer.
And it's not there. And it's not there. So, once again, because of the great push for this game from the consumer base, that they loved it that much, now all of a sudden everyone woke up out of their coma of their $3 million, we're going to sell 3 million copies.
They sold 8 million.
Right. So now everyone wants a piece of the action now, because we have to, as the suit would say, we have to strike when the iron's hot. How can we capitalize on this influx of extra consumers on this type of a product, right? Well, let's see. Well, we can manhandle them, tell them I need to sign up for PlayStation, and we can encapsulate 8 million new emails.
Right.
Oh, that sounds good. Let's do that. Like, there's no thought process, and it's a game. Let's have some fun with it. Oh, and it happened to be successful, and let's all just agree that it's successful and move on. No, that's not what they did.
Well, now what's happening, because of Helldivers, the whole thing that happened, obviously going forward, Sony's going to change the policy. And then today, it says, thank you very much. This is for Ghost of Tsushima now. Ghost of Tsushima is coming out on PC on the 16th, I believe, 15th or 16th.
Has it been a year?
It's been 5 years since it came out, so it's actually coming out to PC for the first time. Okay, so it says, thank you very much for choosing...
5 years? 5 years.
Yeah, it came out in 2018, I believe. Right, chat? It came out in 2018. So they say, thank you very much for choosing to pre-purchase Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut through our store. Due to an issue beyond our control, the multiplayer mode for Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut will no longer be available to play without linking your PlayStation account. And unfortunately, your region is restricted from creating a PlayStation account. As a result, we have removed the product from our store in your region, and we will also be refunding in full as a consumer who pre-purchased Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut from countries unable to create a PlayStation account. This refund will take up to 5 to 7 days. We apologize for any disruption or it may cause you. If you have any questions, please contact the consumer support here at this team. So here's what's happening now. People that could just buy the game, single-player game, not worried about the multiplayer, they just want to buy Ghost of Tsushima in these countries, because they can't make a PlayStation account, Sony's removing the game completely. Not just the multiplayer. Because they can't make a PlayStation account in that country, they are now removing the game completely from the store and giving them their money back, which is fine. They got their money back, right? But why can't I still buy the game and play the single-player aspect of the game on my PC? Why are you removing the entire game because I need a PlayStation account? Words? Anybody?
So this is before the game's available, right?
This is right now. They announced this just today. Yeah.
Has that version of the game come out, or
Not
is
yet.
this?
It comes out on the 16th, I believe, 15th or 16th.
So they're effectively canceling pre-orders and refunding people.
Correct. Because the multiplayer, because they can't make a PlayStation account for the game, even though if I don't want to play multiplayer, I just want to play the single player, I no longer can buy the game because I can't make a PlayStation account for the multiplayer.
What business is excited about cutting off 177 countries from its consumer pool?
I don't know. I mean, we see companies do stupid things all the time, right? Like, this sounds ridiculous to me that, again, you're cutting off the nose despite of your face. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, these people want to give you money for this game, but because there's a multiplayer mode and they can't make a PlayStation account, you don't want them to buy the game at all.
Right.
That seems a little strange, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's very strange. And somebody at some point had to have made the decision that the number of PlayStation Network accounts must have been more valuable than the people actually buying the game. And the only way I can come to that conclusion is because they use those figures for investments. That's it.
Right.
It has to be more whatever's being pumped into the company investment wise has to be worth more.
Your info is worth more than the actual price of the game.
Yeah, so an example, completely different realm, Zillow. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Zillow's monetization.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so listing a rental, like a house that you want to rent on Zillow used to be completely free, cost you nothing. They then, probably 2 years ago, rolled out something that said it's now going to be $1.50 a day per listing that you have, which comes out to $10 a week. That happened. And then a bunch of these big companies that use Zillow stopped listing on Zillow. Like, I'm talking companies with hundreds or thousands of listing or doors that they were managing stopped listing on Zillow. So what happened within a couple of months? What happened? They created these partner managers to reach out to these companies with previous histories of listing and say, hey, instead of doing the $10 a week, we'll offer you $250 for unlimited listing, $250 a month for unlimited listings, as many as you want, as many or as few. So while they didn't walk it back and make it free, what they did was they made the decision that the data from the rent comps, the rent comps, the specs of the houses, everything, they wanted the data of those houses on their site because that was more valuable to them than the people actually paying the full price. And the only reason I can think of, again, probably shareholders, probably Zillow's different because, you know, that whole site, like, they need data to be relevant. Whereas PlayStation, I think it's about investors and shareholders. That's my guess. Right.
Which we'll get into more when we talk about the Xbox thing later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, anything to add to this, Sarge?
I think I'm too angry to discuss it at the moment. because the more I think about it, this is not even a conversation we should be having at all about games at all. This should be the conversation about how we can get the game in more countries because those guys like the game, they want to play with it. We're discussing about how they're not going to sell me a game because I won't give them an email. Like, this is not gaming, right? Yeah. This is marketing. This is a marketing thing. This is not gaming. This is not about I buy a game, you're going to give me a game. Like the mega game, sell a game thing that we've been screaming now for like 8 years, right? It's not because it's some kind of religious belief I have. It's like, I just want a transaction, a normal transaction, arm's length transaction. You make a product, I give you money, the product works. If the product doesn't work, I get a refund and you give me a different product. Like, this is easy, right? All the little twists and turns and how we have to make it all complicated and service fees and monthly payments and all this other nonsense about gaming and it's microtransactions and battle passes and roadmaps. It's like, where's the fucking game?
Right.
Right?
I just want the game.
On the day you opened your mouth and said that this game is coming out November 11th, right? Where's the fucking game? Right? It wasn't ready then. It wasn't ready 6 months from then. It wasn't ready 18 months from then. But you still wanted my money. Once again, no protections. It's just give me the money.
Yeah. I was looking forward to this game, right? Now, I didn't know if I was going to buy it right away when it came out on PC. But now because of this, just what I just read before the stream and what I read now, I don't know if I'm going to pick it up at all. only in like solidarity because of what they're doing to the people that want to play the game, and now they can't play the game because you got to sign in for that PlayStation account.
I haven't touched Helldivers 2 since this news dropped because I don't know how I feel about jumping back in.
Yeah,
you know,
I did the exact same. I stopped playing.
Should you have that emotion about a fucking video game?
And I have a PlayStation account. I have a PlayStation account.
You should not. That should not be an emotional transaction I'm having with my fucking video game.
Right.
I love the game. Now you spit in my face. Now I have to think about it. I'm going to play this game again.
I have a question. Why do you guys think the conversation has been about what we're talking about now? Why isn't the conversation, why isn't PlayStation Network available in those countries? Not that I agree with what you're saying, Sarge. I don't think that should be a requirement at all. But I can't help but wonder, why is the conversation about this instead of why aren't they making it available?
I would have to...
I think you're baiting me because I think you know, and I know.
I think it's because there's certain laws there for microtransactions and other things in those countries that why they can't do what they're doing. That's my, but I don't know. What do you guys? Maybe you guys are thinking differently.
No, the reason why that's not you can't sign up for PlayStation in those countries is because those countries have privacy protection for their citizens.
Yeah, right. They protect their actual consumers.
They
don't want people gathering information on them just because you're looking for a piece of entertainment.
Right. And I didn't look at the list of countries there. There's so many of them. Someone took the Animaniacs song, you know, where they went and they were going through the whole thing. They literally took that song and put all the places that didn't have it. And I thought it was hilarious. But yeah,
that's the reason. That's the only reason.
It's because they are protected by their actual countries.
Right. Because the normal way of doing business is I have a product. I'd like to sell this product to you. And the country says, well, what products do you have? What are you trying to sell over here? They show you. Oh, it's a video game. Okay, cool. Sell your video game here. We have a tax on your video game. You have to pay 3% tax on the game when it comes to the country, regardless if it's digital or hard copy. And you can sell it to our citizens, no problem, right? But now you're telling me that we're selling a video game, but in order to have the video game, you must sign on, and now they see what you're doing because of your entertainment habits, right? And all I want to do is buy a game. And those countries are like, no, no, that's not what we do here. Do you have a video game to sell us? Do you have a video game that you want our people to buy? And
don't be silly.
They said, yeah, we have a video game to buy. Just, you got to put your email in. They're like, no. So who's worse off here? The 177 countries who gave them all the finger, or our country who says, gather up as much data as you can, fuck them?
Real quick, Paul says in chat, he says that makes no sense because they can link EA, Ubisoft, Xbox accounts to Steam accounts. Why can't they make a PlayStation account? Like I said, I didn't go into too depth of why they can't make it. I'm sure if I took 10 minutes of my day to do the research and stuff, I could come up with something. But honestly, I don't care that much because I just want to buy a game and play a game, right?
Well, I sort of was baiting, not because I had the perfect answer, but because the point I wanted to make was that there's a reason why Sony is unwilling to do this in 177 countries. And the only reason I could possibly think of is that it doesn't benefit them as a company. It has nothing to do with
the consumer, the protections, or anything like that.
Yeah, right. Not from their end. From their end.
Right.
I'm not familiar with the laws and regulations of these 177 countries, but and it could be different reasons for different countries, of course. It may not be the same one. But the only reason I can think of is that they lose somehow, that something in their process gets lost whenever they offer what they have in that country. So that's what I think should be spotlighted more, is that what is so dirty about a PlayStation Network account that it's not allowed, or they're not pushing to have it in those countries? What is it? Yeah. Is it just, this company that makes several, probably $1 billion a year, they just didn't get around to it yet. They just haven't opened up to the 177 countries in the world. Yeah, okay. All right.
Well, it could be
Consume
population.
product, don't ask questions.
Let's go back a little bit. Maybe it's because PlayStation has been hacked so badly over the last 5 years that they don't trust them to begin with.
It could be.
That could be something else.
Well, Paul says there's a lot of answers to this, right? And Dark Taco says agree, it's just not worth it for them. And then El Nini says it's population, maybe. And I was just going to bring that up as before El Nini popped it in there. Maybe those countries, because the United States is a huge chunk, right? Europe is another huge chunk. Korea is another huge chunk. Maybe all of these other countries that 177 might be like 6%, 10%, and it's like nothing to them. You know what I'm saying? Overall, where the majority of the population that plays games is in these 3 countries instead of these 177 countries. Again,
you mean the Western world?
Sure, but what I'm saying is I don't know the rules and stuff like that, so that's why I didn't really have a good answer. I just thought maybe because of the protection stuff, but chat's bringing up some good points. Like you can make other accounts for other companies there. So why? And when Kinger brought up, maybe it's just not worth it for Sony. That could be a huge.
I just don't buy that.
I'll agree with you for 3 inches because there's only like 196 countries on the fucking planet. So if you're telling me 177 don't want to deal with PlayStation, then I got news for you. The ones at fault isn't the 177.
Right.
Somebody's the bad guy in this. It's either the governments there have something against the Sony account, or Sony has something against the government regulation. One of the two.
Right.
And I'm inclined to think it's probably on Sony's end, but I don't know that for sure. It could be the government side. I don't know. But somebody's the bad guy, and that is what I think is the more important thing to be bringing up in this whole debate.
That's right. And the bad guy is the person that doesn't want to sign up for a PlayStation account. We all know that.
No, well, if you think of the international incident, if 177 countries were allowed and they got to sign up, but then there was another data breach, now you have 177 countries lawsuiting you, Sony. That's what that is.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
And
because if you guys can't hold on to your information, and you're supposed to have the best security ever, you're in the Western world with all these fucking with all the tech you have. The 177 countries like, no, we don't want to have anything to do with you, Sony, because you can't hold on to your shit.
All right. Well,
like I said, it's probably several reasons, and I bet you that's one of them, at least for some territories.
Yeah, I just find it funny because now moving forward, it's gonna be day one, and everyone's gonna have to sign up. They want your information.
You can't even say population. You're telling me you don't want the chance of selling to basically the rest of the world to sell video games. You don't want that. Like I want my market only to be in these regions, and that's it. You don't want the rest of the world to give you money. That doesn't make any sense on any level for business at all.
One of these streamers,
exactly.
One of the streamers on Twitch, Dan's Gaming, who I've watched for quite a few years, he actually came out on Twitter and said, he's like, it would have been real simple to do this. Instead of forcing people to sign up for a PlayStation Network account, he's like, you could have gave them a cosmetic about, you know what I mean? Like, if you give us your email address, or sign up for PlayStation Network, you'll get a free cosmetic in the game, right?
Nobody would have batted an eye.
Not even batted an eye, right? They would have been like, oh, that's a cool skin. And they would have signed up, and we would have been moved on with our day.
Or they would have said, piss off, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But at least I get to play the game.
But the problem is, people just want the option. Like, let me opt in. I shouldn't have to opt out. I shouldn't be forced to play the game. And then also, if I don't sign up, then my game doesn't work anymore. Go fuck yourself, right? Like, there's no fucking way it's happening. So, all right, we'll move on from that. This just came in right before the show started. Xbox Mobile Games, okay? Xbox Mobile Games store coming to this is let me rumor this. I don't know if this is fact yet because I haven't read it. So we're just gonna read the title. This could be just leaked information as of right now until I read more. Xbox Mobile Game Store coming in July, Sarah Bond. So it says Sarah Bond has just announced, all right, so there you go. An Xbox Mobile Game Store is coming in July during an interview with Bloomtech in Dina Base. Okay, in this clip, linked below, Sarah Bond talks about bringing Xbox-owned first-party titles to the store like Candy Crush and Minecraft, as well as bringing its partners to have cross-platform gaming-centric mobile experience. Going to start on the web to have the accessibility to all devices and the countries, no matter what independent or policies or closed ecosystem stores, and then they're going to extend from there. All right, so they're telling you exactly what they're doing. So Xbox bought King, makers of Candy Crush and Soda Crush and Saga, games last year as part of the Activision Blizzard King purchase, which is one of the reasons me and Sarge said for months and months and months that this is the reason they're actually buying Activision Blizzard. Minecraft is there after purchasing Mojang over a decade ago. one big question is, will Game Pass Ultimate gain you any benefits to the mobile store, Candy Crush Saga, or massive game with Xbox Store listing on the PC version? So there you go. So they're coming out with their own store, mobile store, inside of the mobile device. So I wonder how that's going to work with Apple's laws and everybody else's things. We'll see. We'll know more down the road. So what do you think about this with the their own mobile store now? So now Minecraft, which you can get on Apple right now on the mobile device, right, on the App Store or Google Store. Now they're going to be in their own mobile store inside there, and then you can also link up your account for Candy Crush and get achievements on Game Pass and whatever else. I see Kinger. He's excited. He's excited. He's going to sign up. He's ready to sign up. I love this panel.
Dude, I guess I think this opens the can of worms. We could probably hit every single Xbox bird with one stone. So we probably might as well throw in whatever conversation topics about Xbox that we want, because I think this conversation's about to probably hit every single one of them.
Yeah, it goes into the rest of the stuff that we have. So if you want to jump in, it's fine, because like I said earlier before the show started, if we don't get to all the topics and we're jumping around, I can
Well, I'll how about this? I'll make a statement that will probably apply to every Xbox story of the past week. They are after two things. One is universal access to their products.
Yep.
From as many places as possible, console, PC, mobile, and then a handheld, from what I understand.
Headsets like Meta also. Yep.
Yeah. So universal access to their product, and then investing in the largest product possible. Correct. So if you were to summarize, general audiences is what they want. That's what they want. They want general audiences. So that means we're going to put as much focus into spreading out as thin as possible, and we're going to focus on the games with the most appeal. Candy Crush, Call of Duty, Diablo. See how that went.
Skyrim,
Monopoly.
Yeah,
Monopoly.
Well, Monopoly Go is not part of there. They don't own that. So yeah.
So that's what I think about everything Xbox is doing. If you were to look at Xbox probably 5 years from now, they will have like 5 big games or franchises total that they will be putting all of their time and attention into, but they will be it will be available everywhere. Everywhere you go, those 5 games will be playable in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I've been before you go, Sarge, I've been saying this forever, right? I've said this, that Game Pass by itself, because of Xbox, they don't sell enough consoles, right? And I said Game Pass is their future of this. I said cloud gaming is the future for them. And I said they want to put it as many places as possible. And this is why I said just last year, 2 years ago, but mostly last year, I said within 6 to 7 years, the cloud gaming space will be the majority of gaming. And everyone's like, there's no way it's going to happen, because they think in their head that it's got to be like 99%. It only needs to be like 35% of the actual market for cloud gaming. And then that's the majority, right? So because they're doing the mobile stuff, because they're doing the Game Pass on the television set, the Meta Quest, the portable devices, the iPads, the iPhones, the Google, everywhere, right? Game Pass by itself on consoles, not sustainable. Game Pass on every device known to man, sustainable, because the more that's out there, they don't need billions of people to play one game. They need billions of people to play all of these games that are on Game Pass, right? So you could have 100,000 people playing Candy Crush. You could have 100,000 people playing Fallout 76. You could have 200,000 people playing Minecraft. They don't care where you play. They just want the biggest stroke possible of people on any game and any game that's on Game Pass, and they're looking for a brand. I said this earlier this week. When you ask for a tissue, people go, hey, can I have a Kleenex? Kleenex is not a tissue. It's a brand of tissue, right? When people say, hey, can I have a Coke? They actually don't mean they want a Coke. They're just saying they want like a soda, right? When they say, hey, I need to search something, they don't say, hey, search it on the internet. They say, Google it, right? It's a brand, and they want that thing. When a movie comes out, they're like, is it on Netflix? Is the new show on Netflix? They want that new thing to be, is it on Game Pass? Is it on Game Pass? Is it Microsoft Game Pass? That's what they want.
They want to be Netflix of gaming.
Yes.
Is essentially it.
Which is the only profitable streaming service that's out there. Go ahead, Sarge.
No, go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I think it's clear. It's clear they don't care about games for starters. I think people asking the question like, "Oh, this doesn't make sense. Why is Xbox doing that?" No, it makes sense. Their priority is like people. Okay, take the comments about, well, kind of taken out of context, but the comments about we need smaller games with more awards. We need that.
Yeah.
Or go ahead.
No, I was going to say they did take that out of context. They said that they need 10. They got rid of Hi-Fi Rush, and they're like, we got rid of Hi-Fi Rush, but we need more games like Hi-Fi Rush. But it's like, when you break it down to generalistic, it doesn't work that way. But go ahead.
I'll translate that for you. He's saying we need a Helldivers 2.
Right.
We need something smaller that everyone loves, that doesn't, it's not as expensive to make,
and live service.
And live service, and we can blast it out so that people can play it on their smart washing machine, and then everyone will play it and love it. Yeah, it makes sense. It honestly does. I'm not confused by their strategy at all. It's not, their priority isn't with the games, it's with the access to the games that are there.
That's right.
If their priority were with the games, then they would have been making good games, or they would have been at least getting quality products out, but they're not, and they haven't for a while.
Right.
So what they thought was, well, let's acquire these studios, let them make the games, let them focus on that, while we work on just getting those games out there. And what did we get in return? We got Diablo 4, we got Redfall, 343 and Halo was before the acquisition, but we got Halo Infinite. So yeah, their priority is not games, hasn't been for years.
100%, 100% that it's not about the game. Slowly but surely, we are being trained to accept the fact that you're going to pay for a game that's over $70 day one, that is not finished and does not work properly. And so your brain's going to say over and over again, why do I keep giving them $80 for a game that I know is not working? Why don't I just get the service? And if the game works or not, at least I have things to play. I'm not spending $80 on broken games. Cause the problem, sell the solution. Yep. Okay? It's so cut and dry now, at the point where, do you really believe that the series of development teams and publishers constantly releasing broke and buggy games for a better part of 5 or 6 years now is all just fucking coincidence? Do you guys believe that? Like, if a business is in the business of selling product and every product that you sell is fucking broken, in any other fucking industry, your store closes. You go out of business, right? In this world, we cause games to be broken, buggy, so you can sign up for the service. So you don't have to worry about it. It's almost like paying for insurance about something that never breaks. Right. Like, it's mind-numbing to me that this is the point we are in gaming, right? I say, don't buy a goddamn thing. Let them sweat, right? Because the more you keep buying into the service thing, you have renegade studios like EA who are allowed to make any dumpster fire they want because they have Madden and FIFA in the back making $3 billion a quarter, right? So they don't have to worry about dick. They don't have to worry about quality or what kind of games they make or who they're pissing off. They don't care. They have their loyal fan base that gives them $1 billion a quarter.
Right. And instead of making a better game, they just go out and get NCAA football, and then they just sell that now.
It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter, right? The only thing that EA is worried about right now is they already have the sports division. They need to have the FBS division that does the same thing as Madden and FIFA. That's what they're looking to do. Keep trying. They try and they fail. They try and they fail, but they're not going to actually make a good Battlefield game. They're just going to keep twisting the formula a little bit until they get a Battlefield game that fits into FIFA and Madden.
Sarge is moving it to EA stories. Hold on, Sarge. We're still on Microsoft. Let's stick on one topic. All right. You're breaking over to the next topics. So right now, Game Pass is what is successful, right? Because Hi-Fi Rush came out, and people are like,
define successful.
Well, this is what we're going to try to do, right? So Hi-Fi Rush came out, and it was a great game. It is. I played it. I don't know. You didn't play it, Sarge. Did you play it, Kinger?
I have not. I downloaded it last night.
Okay.
But I have not played it yet.
It's a fantastic rhythm-based game, right? It's a fun single-player game. upgrades and stuff like that. It's a really good game. The problem with this is there was no marketing behind it because it was a shadow drop last year. Okay. Now, obviously, leading up to the shadow drop, they bought Bethesda for $7.2 billion or $7.4 billion, and that was already in the making. Same with Redfall, right? Redfall and GameWorks was already working on Hi-Fi Rush, and they were already working on Redfall for Arcane Studios. And they picked up the brand of Starfield and Elder Scrolls and Fallout with Bethesda, and those games just came along, and they were single-player games, and one was a live service game with Redfall. And they're like, this is a piece of shit. And they're like, well, just put it out there. We need content on Game Pass. So that's what they put out, right? So you have one live service game that charged $125 for their piece of game that didn't finish, right? Broke, buggy, unfinished. They didn't have the DLC come out. And you have to opt in for a refund now for that, for Redfall. And then Hi-Fi Rush, no advertisement whatsoever. And they drop it, and it passes 3 million people play it, but they don't tell you the sales, right? Now, I bought it. I bought it for $40. I played it for a bit.
Wordplay.
I downloaded it first, played it, and said, this is a good game. I'm going to give them $40 because I want to support the studio and stuff, right? And then it went on, and it didn't sell well. Why? Because who's going to buy it when it's on Game Pass, right? Game Pass is the problem because it's just on the console. And they didn't put it out anywhere else. They didn't put it on PlayStation. They didn't put it on Nintendo, right? Now they're putting it on other places, but they didn't put it out there before. So now this game wins awards. Now, I don't know if you want to say awards are like big time because it's from the Jeff Keighley Awards, the video game award show. I don't know where that standard is. And like, well, you won this award from this award show, so we should keep you in business. Every game they worked on before was a popular game, but wasn't a mega popular game, right? All the other games they worked on, I believe they worked on Prey, right? Or was that Arcane? Arcane worked on Prey. Tango Games worked on, was it Dishonored, or is that also Arcane Studios?
Arcane Austin, I believe, was both
what
Prey
other game
and Dishonored.
Yeah, what other game did Hi-Fi Rush work on? What did they do? They did what was the other one? Evil Within. Sure. Evil Within. Is that what they worked on?
Oh, was that you said Tango?
Yeah, Evil Within. Yes, thank you, Travis.
Evil Within. Yes. Yeah.
So they had games that were popular, right? But they weren't mega popular. So they're looking at this going, as a business standpoint, not me as a consumer, as a business standpoint, they put Hi-Fi Rush out there and it didn't do well. For the publisher or for the developers, they were happy with it. But Papa Microsoft here was like, yeah, this underperformed. It didn't make money. Why? Because it's a single player game. What games are still making money on Game Pass for them? Horizon or Forza Horizon, Halo, Sea of Thieves, Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, all these games that have some sort of microtransactions in there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I was going to say, there's an easy answer to that. It's the live service games with microtransactions, and Game Pass serves as a ticket to play.
Correct.
That's it.
Low entry and get you to nickel and dime you for stuff.
Exactly,
100%.
Into the ecosystem. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
It's like a cover charge at a club. Like, that's what Game Pass is. So you go in and buy the drinks.
Right.
Like,
so they were talking about making Helldivers 2, Hi-Fi Rush 2. Okay. And they looked at it and went, no, we got to cut you, because what's it going to take? Is it going to take you another 3 to 5 years to make this game? And what's that going to get us? Another single player game that goes out there and people play it for a week or two and then it's gone? We need something else. So we're going to move you to other studios, or we're going to get rid of you because we don't need that extra bulk of studios. So that's the thing why I think they got rid of Hi-Fi Rush. It wasn't because of Hi-Fi Rush. They want exactly what Kindred said. They want games that win awards, but they want games like Helldivers. They want games that are live service games that also win awards that they can keep monetizing and putting a battle pass and season pass and all this other stuff in there, because that's what keeps it going.
That's the only sustainable method. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. It wasn't Xbox that said this. It was I think not anonymous. Whenever some people's NDAs expired after they had left Valve, there were several people who came out and said, I pitched this game, I tried to get us to make this game. And there was one person in particular who said she pitched some kind of game and she projected how many millions of dollars it would make. And whatever higher up she said that to said, well, yes, but that's $0 billions. And
right.
So her idea was tossed.
Right.
And so I think Microsoft has adopted that exact mentality. If it's so many millions, whatever, but that's $0 billions. So not interested, sorry. And the reason why they closed Hi-Fi Rush is the studio behind Hi-Fi Rush.
Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, Tango is the same reason why they had the Alan Wake IP on the shelf, gate kept for 9 years, despite Remedy begging them to let them make Alan Wake 2, and they wouldn't do it because it's not the next big thing and never will be. So don't be shocked when the foreseeable future of Microsoft is just more focus on these live service games, these bigger ones that are meant to be for the general audiences. Not niche is gone. Niche is dead as far as Microsoft is concerned.
Sarge loves leaving and dead air. He loves doing this. Go ahead.
It's not a radio. It's not radio. What I fail to see, and what most people I think don't understand, is the reason why gaming was what it was is because art was created, an idea was created, and they found the audience of the art, and they purchased the game, they played the game, and they put the game away, and then they went to look for something else, right? If every game that they believe is the only game for them is to do live service, once again, I say it
Everywhere.
I say it with the greatest of care. Nobody, even the kid who doesn't go to school, lives on a trust fund and just sits around and plays games all day and then goes out with his girlfriend at night for 3 hours and then comes back and plays more video games. Even him, right? He doesn't have enough time to play all these live service games. I know what you're going to say. All they need is a small pool. All they need is a small pool, right? But the small pool of people in each of those categories has to remain in that ecosystem and then consistently give them money in order for that live service game to remain profitable, right?
Sure.
Not everybody is going to follow that,
right.
that idea.
But that's...
But they all want live service. Everybody's got to have one. That's the only thing that works now. They're saying that you can't just make the game and people buy the game. I made profit of the game. For some reason, there's like this disconnect now where beforehand I made a product and we sold well, and when we did well, we hire more people and we go for a bigger game, right? Now all of a sudden that whole idea is gone. Like, even if I make a game, they bought 9 studios, they made the game, but as long as the game didn't do what it's supposed to do in their mind, those people are done. It's business as usual. I get it. Nice, but
Sarge.
what happens if What happens if that studio wasn't bought by Microsoft and they made the game and then the game sold what it sold?
They would still be in business because they're a solo priority. Like, they don't have to make millions and billions. They can just cover their costs.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of variables involved here. That game would have taken 25 hours to play. But lo and behold, that poor studio can't survive because everybody's too busy doing their homework assignments on their 13 live service games. Yeah. So when do I have time to play the independent guys game for 20 hours to actually enjoy it and go, oh, I've got too many homework assignments going on over here? Like, you can't tell me that the greatest value here is individual time. You can't have this many live service games and hit the projected numbers that they keep talking about. How many times do you guys hear didn't reach expectations? How many times has that been said?
Here's the problem, right? Look at a game like Hogwarts Legacy. Like, sold hundreds of millions, not hundreds of millions,
greatest
23
Harry
million.
Potter game
right?
ever
23 million copies, right? 23 million copies. If they make a Hogwarts 2 and it doesn't sell 23 million copies minimum, they're in trouble, right? Because they came out of the gate selling so high. This is why Suicide Squad, they're like, Suicide Squad is a bomb because, well, it is a bomb, but they're comparing it to Hogwarts last year. So they go year over year. Last year, February, they released this. This year, they released this. It lost $200 million for them, right? Because they're comparing it to the thing that is a phenom. To make a game like Hogwarts and sell that much, there's way more behind it than just it was a good game. It has 9 movies with the Beast stuff and like that. There's like 3 movies of them and 6 movies or 7 movies of others. There's like 10 movies of the Harry Potter universe that built up to that game, and that's why that game did well. They didn't just come out with a brand new IP like Hi-Fi Rush and go, yeah, here you go. And they're like, why didn't it sell 8 billion units? I don't understand.
But this is why there's a disconnect between the consumer base and the people inventing these games. You don't understand. It's not. I repeat myself about every 6 weeks. It's not a widget. You're not selling something to somebody, and the product is It's just a good product. They should buy it. Like, you're selling art.
Yeah.
And there's an entire sphere of influence around the art. What kind of history does it have? What kind of setting does it have? Does it have good story? Does it have good characters? Like, there's this whole thing built around the actual IP. And if it doesn't fit the bill for people who like those kind of things, then you aren't going to sell dick. It doesn't matter that it checked the boxes for you because some fucking suit somewhere copycatted it from some other IP.
Well,
it's not how it works.
This is going on to the next story, right? It says it's time to stop giving Xbox boss Phil Spencer a pass. Now, I'm going to bring up Helldivers. Helldivers 1 sold 1 million copies, right? That's it. 1 million copies. Helldivers 2 has now sold 8 million copies. What do you think Sony wants Helldivers 3 to make, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it keeps going up. And now they're not owned by Sony. The IP is owned by them. But now let's go to Microsoft. Phil Spencer has come out and said, I want the developers to make the game they want. And this is why I think Phil's not to blame here, right? Phil says what he actually believes because he's actually a gamer. He understands the business, and this is why he's running the company. But there's someone that pays his checks, and that's the corporate guys of Nadell and all of them up above that want that number to keep going up. And Phil's like, no, this is an art form. I'd let the guys make the game that they want to make, which is what they're doing.
Not everyone's a winner.
But when the game comes out and it doesn't sell, Microsoft goes, well, that's a fucking loser. That's a wet towel on the ground. Out the door. They lost us money. And Phil's like, well, there it goes. And they don't care about Phil's feelings because they could just replace Phil with another head of the studio and put it there and then go, you do what I say, and this is what it is. But what Phil's doing, he's let the company. Tango Games made the game they wanted to make. They made the game. They're happy with the game they made. He was happy with the game they made. People didn't buy the game. People didn't interact with the game as much as they wanted to interact with engagement. And now that studio closed. And it's a harsh reality, but that's the way it works, right? Make a game, sell a game. If it doesn't sell, well, you got to cut your losses as a business. Unicron has to eat. I keep using this example, right? Unicron just keeps going through the surface and just keeps eating planets and keeps on moving, right? He doesn't care about all the people on the planet and who it affects in any way, shape, or form. He just eats it and moves out, right? Spits out the shit out the end and just keeps nutrition. That's how these companies act and run. So I think Phil Spencer, I want to put it out there to people in the comment section later in this show or people in the live chat. Great. Phil Spencer gets fired. He gets taken out. They put someone else in the place. What's going to be different? What's going to be different? Do you think that miraculously all of a sudden Microsoft is going to stop buying companies up? Do you think they're going to stop making live service games? Do you think they're going to stop and all of a sudden they're just going to make great games, right? No. Microsoft is still in charge. Microsoft just paid $70 billion for Activision Blizzard, and they want to make that money back as fast as possible. Okay? So do any of you guys have an answer for Phil Spencer? If he leaves and they replace him, what changes? Do you think anything changes?
No.
Thanks for coming.
No.
Good night.
Yeah, see you guys.
But Kinger is exactly right.
I know.
You're what side of the conversation do you want to discuss? You want to discuss the business aspect?
I wanted to have a discussion. What's going to happen?
Phil has been there for 10 years. Has the time period that Phil has been there for 10 years, has profits for Xbox division gone up? The answer is yes. Even though these studios make a game.
Yeah, they're most profitable they've ever been before. Yeah.
Right. If every year they've been going up, percentage-wise, more Game Pass subscribers, more intergames, games, it's all on the up and up, which means that you're not going to fire the guy that's making you money, right? How many other heads of studios have we seen that they make shit tons of money, that they all get this flack, and then they decide at some point, you know, maybe I've milked this cow long enough. I'll just leave here and do this again somewhere else, right?
Pull the golden parachute. See you later.
Right. That's what they did. They stand in the doorway. They go, I made a bunch of money for everybody. See ya. And they just pull the chute. They jump out the fucking plane with their golden parachute. And they go on to the next place. Like, that's what they do. If Phil didn't make money, if the Xbox division was going down, no subscribers for Game Pass. All the games suck, right? But the issue now is you have made it to where the teeter-totter feeds itself. If we sell less games, it gives people a reason to get Game Pass because there's games to play regardless. Now, you took out the part where I have to buy hardware, which means you're saving the company more money if they don't have to buy any hardware.
Right.
Because every time we sell hardware, we lose money.
Yeah.
So I can play on this. I can play on a tablet. I can play on my refrigerator. I can play on my television. Like any place you can go, you can get Game Pass, right? So you can be mad at Phil all day long. You don't like him. You think he's like the uncle that never gave you a birthday present. Who gives a shit? He doesn't
uncle
care.
is that?
Right? You should be thankful that they have YouTubers right now making videos about Phil. This is the best one I heard. I can't remember if it was Legacy Killer or somebody else. I can't remember. He was mad, and he said that Phil. They logged his hours, and they said that Phil Spencer paid 152 days of video games over the last year and a half or something like this. And they're like, if he spent more time running the studio instead of playing games, he'd be doing better. And I'm like, where the fuck do you think he makes the money from? He wants to know what games are being made.
He's literally playing the games to know what.
He's literally got his hands in the dirt, looking to see what games his
guy
company is
playing
making.
in the dirt. Yeah, look at this guy playing in the dirt.
I saw that too, and my first thought was, has nobody considered that he's probably playing games for either research or like
that's exactly why he's playing. And he's actually come out and said this multiple interviews. He's like, yeah, I'm on the plane. I'm playing games, and I'm playing a great game from 33. I'm playing 76 again. I'm playing High Five Rush. I'm playing all these games. He's like, it's a great game. It's a great game. You're gonna see
if
this.
If the CEO of McDonald's didn't eat so much McDonald's food, he'd probably be making them more money.
So let me understand this. So your defense, their defense of this was, you want a CEO who doesn't know anything about video games,
right?
And just barks out orders. We had one of those guys. It was called Bobby fucking Kotick, and nobody likes that cocksucker for the last 10 years. And he got $300 million for walking away from Activision Blizzard, and nobody gives a fuck, right? Because he was really involved with the company.
It was 400 million. Sorry, it was 400.
Because he was really involved with the fucking company.
Ain't no way it was only 3 million.
Right? Bobby, listen to me. Bobby Kotick, it was talked about before. If the deal fell through, if the deal fell through,
he still gets 7 million or something like that. If it fell
through, it was 30 million. It was 30 million, right?
He got 400 million. So
Bobby Kotick was literally Brewster's Millions in the gaming sphere. If he fucked up, he got 30 million. If it succeeded, he got 300 million.
400.
And you're thinking to yourself, whatever. Like, but if you're at that echelon of fucking income, 30 million and 300 million, it's not like you're getting a third yacht, right? It's.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep correcting you. It's 400 million.
No, it was 3 and 3. I remember it was 3 and 3.
He got $400 million.
Well, then he got a bonus on top of it because it was 30 and 3. I remember this.
Not to mention, he already had a net worth of 600 million. Just saying.
Oh, but Kinger, it was stock options.
So once again, you want guys who are not attached to gaming at all. You want those guys. Those are the guys you want running the show. So now we're going to find reasons, right? Okay, so if I'm a business person, I want ROI. I'm investing in companies. If I look at Xbox and Microsoft and I say, if I want to invest in this company, what's been going on the last 5 years? Well, there's a lot of political upheaval. Everyone hates games because they're broken, buggy. And there's this whole list of criteria how consumers are upset. Then they turn the page and they go, well, how much are we making? Oh, we're up 35% over the last year alone, not to mention a 45 increase over the last nickel. Yeah, I'm investing in Xbox and Microsoft. Yes.
Yeah, and here's an excellent example for a decade and a half, EA.
Oh.
Yeah. There it is. People hate EA.
Android Wilson.
But Andrew Wilson, he's still there. He's still there.
Android
talking
Wilson.
about what's good for the player. I mean, they're making money. They're making great money. So yeah,
I'm gonna take this opportunity because you brought up EA. I'm gonna bring up some EA stories. Okay, because
this was not pre-planned.
Nope, nothing on this show is pre-planned. It's all done on the shooting. Here we go.
We're living in fairyland. At some point, right before the coof happened, right? We were going down this road. We all knew we were going down this road, but the coof accelerated it because you now had millions of people sitting home.
Yeah,
and so there was this giant influx of people who had nothing to do, and God forbid we would read. We don't want to read, right? So video games it is. So now you based your growth and your growth potential and your labor based on nobody working and everyone sitting home.
Yeah, we made the most money ever.
Right? And then you were upset when people went back to work because the economy has to function. Like, we had to fire all these people. We had to let go all these studios. Like, no shit. Like you were trying, they were trying to get ahead of a trend that was a natural disaster, right? How do you predict something like that, right? And then on top of it, you pushed everyone out of the studios to work from home, and you already know that 75 guys all working on the same game don't get along. You have to have like social translators between these groups of people, between the coders and the marketing people. Like you need to have like everybody in the same building so they can actually talk and negotiate with these people. How do you negotiate with the people in your staff if everyone's home with headphones on and you're zooming and everyone's got no pants, they're playing Candy Crush, and everyone's trying to have a discussion about what's going on in the company? It's impossible. It's impossible. So when the reality set back in and everyone's like, all right, everybody, we got to come back to work now, even though we told you no one had to be at work. Now we have to be. So crunch up the ass. And we ended up with a bunch of games that no one cared about.
Well, I think they were hoping to create a new normal for gaming during that time
because they thought it was going to last forever. That's why they thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
so yeah, take advantage of that.
Oh, absolutely. They got new people in the ecosystem. There's no doubt in my mind that people that never played video games before, doesn't have to be an Xbox or PC. I'm talking about this mostly, right? You're sitting around doing nothing and you don't like video games, but you have this in your hand a lot, and you start blitzing out a lot of advertisements for gotcha games and all the other games that came out that King had, and I'm sure somebody bit the hook. I'm sure.
So talk about EA before, right? EA is now considering, EA is now considering an in-game advertising, but will take thoughtful approach. Isn't that the biggest bullish shit I've ever seen from Android Wilson? A thoughtful approach. So EA CEO Android Wilson said in-game advertising could become a meaningful driver of growth of the company's bottom line. Speaking during the company's last earnings briefing, Wilson said that it's still early on in the front, but this is something that EA does decide to push further into. The company will also be thoughtful about it. What the that mean? Thoughtful about putting advertisement in. So now I'm playing Battlefield, right? The next Battlefield comes out. It's going to be called Battlefield, what's it called? Battlefield endorsement deal. Like you're gonna be running down the street, there's gonna be a giant billboard that says, like Monster Energy drink, and then you're gonna pop something else in, $1 buy now. Like what are they talking about?
Yes.
Thoughtful advertisement. What do you think what this is, Kinger?
Well, first off, it says Battlefield 2142, so GG's. But second, on the article that says 2142. But sports games will be first, I think. It's the most natural segue to have that happen. In fact, I think the last time I was on your show, I said that I think advertisements are what's next in gaming, and I, probably a hot take, would actually be okay with that if it meant there was backpedaling on the other types of monetization that we've seen, but that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be additive. They're going to take what we already have, this cesspool that we call gaming, and add commercials into it. And it'll start with sports games, because when you're watching an actual game,
yes,
you see advertisements everywhere. Every sign, there's commercials during timeouts. Like that's going to happen in the video games too. And people are going to go, oh, well, it's not that big. Mark my words.
Right. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It's just like a real game. It doesn't affect anything. And then they're going to get more aggressive. They're going to show up in games where they shouldn't. And next thing you know, you're taking a break in the middle of capture the flag rounds in Call of Duty to watch a Domino's commercial because it's 11 o'clock at night in your region, and the algorithm has determined that a Domino's commercial would be the most. Yeah, it's right. Pizza time.
Pizza time.
So yes,
100%.
That's where we're headed.
100%.
So Sarge, how do you think they're going to add it into like not sports games, but how are they going to add it into the first person shooter games that they do?
Well, that's easy. You think of any ridiculous ad you've ever seen in your life over the course of your life that you watch Super Bowl commercials, and you rest assured that type of thing will be in your video game.
Whopper.
So if I'm a 60-year-old guy gaming, am I going to get a prostate commercial inside the game?
Nope. They're gonna have guys who are real young, ambitious, and want to make their mark in the advertisement arena. You ready for this? Right? You're gonna get a kill streak in Call of Duty, and the kill streak comes up, and it'll be kill streak, and then it'll kill streak. Like,
brought to you by Doritos.
Kills bad breath, Listerine, kill streak. Like whatever's going on in the game, they'll find some way to fucking flip it and twist it into something that's like a commercial marketing thing.
Maps first.
Yeah. Before the map starts, it'll have in the corner exactly what he's talking about: pizza, energy drinks, because that's what it's going to be, right? And when you're playing Madden, rest assured, the banners in the back of the thing will have stuff written down. Not to mention not to mention the end zone. The end zone, every time you score, will have something different in it.
They've already done this. So American Truck Simulator has implemented something like this in the game, but they haven't taken like real advertisements yet. What they've done is there's actual trucking companies that have taken advertisements and put them on the billboard. So while you're driving the truck down the road and you're at a stoplight and you'll see a billboard, it'll be an actual company that's hiring truckers. Okay, and you can call that number and stuff. So they've done stuff like that. That I can see is like a thoughtful way to add stuff, right? Because the trucking industry needs drivers. They're looking for drivers. People are driving trucks in the video game. I can see that as being thoughtful, but there's a thin line there.
No, that would be considered thoughtful because number one, we do need truckers, and number two, you're playing a truck driving simulator.
But we also need people to buy Doritos.
Why would I advertise about someone wanting to drive a truck in a truck simulator game? Like, that would be considered thoughtful.
Right,
yes.
Right. But then Doritos pops up, or Mountain Dew, or Domino's Pizza. That's not really thoughtful anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be, the map's name is going to be like Dominion, and it's going to be like Dominion by Doritos, or presented by Doritos, or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's thought number one. Thought number two, thoughtful approach. This is the same company who looked Congress in the eye and said, Battlefront 2 doesn't have loot boxes. They're called surprise mechanics.
Surprise mechanics.
So nothing about the word thoughtful coming from this company means jack diddle.
Right.
Nothing. Surprise mechanics. Yeah, right.
So going from EA to the next thing, which is EA has the largest team. The largest team ever working on the new Battlefield game. Maybe it's 2142. Maybe it's 2142.
I want numbers on that, because the last time they made a game, they said it was 3 studios. So what's that, like 600?
Right, all hands on deck was the last one.
That was a typo in the article I pointed out, right? That's
correct.
Not like the name of the next game.
No, 2142 is a typo. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
because
I feel like an idiot if I missed an announcement somewhere.
It says EA's previously sold game ads for in-sport games and Battlefield 2042, but it says 2142, which is not
well. So they said that this is the biggest team they've ever had work on a Battlefield game.
Was there a game? Hold on a second. Was there a Battlefield 2142 back in the day, an older game?
Yes.
There was a Battlefield 2142, right?
It was the one where you had mechs and the base you had to kill was a floating platform, and you had to jump up.
That was called 2142.
Oh my god, you're right.
So I don't know if is a typo or if they're actually talking about there was advertisements back in that. I don't remember advertisements back.
I don't recall any advertisements in 2042. So maybe they really do mean 2142.
Yeah. So maybe it is 2142. Yeah. But it's kind of weird. But anyway, so the next one, it says that EA has more people working on the new Battlefield game than at any point in the franchise history, according to CEO Android Wilson. The statement came during... Go ahead.
No, keep reading.
Okay.
I'll wait.
The statement came during a company's latest quarterly earning call on Tuesday evening. It says, quote, "This is the largest Battlefield team in franchise history." He said that a few weeks ago, we were visiting with them and the teams, and they couldn't be more excited about what they have showed us and what they're able to play. In April, EA's announced at Motive, the studio behind Star Wars Squadrons and Dead Space remake, would be moved over to work in the development of Battlefield, and the studio is also working on the upcoming Iron Man game. As far as the new Battlefield game, Wilson is happy with the game's progress and confident about the success when players get their hands on it. He says, "I've just spent a whole bunch of time with the collective Battlefield team playing it and with the building, and it's going to be another tremendous live service," he said. So, go ahead, Kinger. You were going to say something?
Yeah, okay. So, just to say one more thing about the ad thing, let me just mention, I think it's totally doable to put ads in a game in an actually thoughtful way that makes sense, but that's not what they're going to do. So like
yeah,
I know
they're not going to do it, but there is a way to do it. Yeah.
Broken record Kingard here. I get it. Haha, laugh it up. Alan Wake 1 2010. You had to pick up batteries as an item in the game. And if you looked closely at the batteries, they were Energizer brand. That's not in your face. It's just there. It helps build the world. And every now and again, you'd see a billboard for Verizon, like just by the street. Right. And whenever Alan picked up his phone and you would see the screen on it, it said Verizon up in the top corner. That is not intrusive in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. That's not what EA is going to do. Second, I bet you could find that exact same article, but about Battlefield 2042, because they said the same thing about that game. They said this has the most people working on it than we've ever had before.
Yep.
And we all know how that went. So this means nothing except more of the same to me.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it up, but Cubsy brought it up in chat. Monster Energy and Death Stranding, they did that, right? They had it all over the place, cans and stuff like that. So, what do you think, Sarge?
Red Bull and PUBG.
Oh, that's right. Red Bull is in PUBG. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So go ahead. The biggest team ever in the history of Battlefield games that are coming out. It's going to be a tremendous live service game, Sarge.
Of course, it's going to be tremendously live service. Of course it will be. Right, but it's copy pasta. Right, you had 3 teams. You had three separate teams working on 2042, and you couldn't fix it after it was broken. It took you 18 months to kind of patch it, and you didn't care enough to fix it. So the issue is you knew that even with that many people on it, you couldn't repair the damage to get enough people to engage with your game. So what makes you think I give a shit about you putting together the A team of A teams to make the next game? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to the game? You didn't care about that one.
It took 18 months, 19 months to fix the last one.
You talked up that game for 6 months, and once you didn't get your initial numbers, you said your standard textbook shit, which is we're working hard, we've listened, and we're going to fix it, which all it means to me is we didn't hit our number and we don't give a fuck about it anymore, right? We're now obligated to fix the game because we have to make it a working product. Otherwise, you babies will just scream at us for the next 6 months. So they have to say something on the press release and then fix the game. Meanwhile, the actual presence of what the game was supposed to be was never thought of again, right? No maps, nothing else afterwards. No one gave a shit. Right? It's all hype. Didn't hit the initial numbers? Don't give a shit anymore. Right? So you want me to actually look at you straight face and think I give a shit about what you think Battlefield's going to come out with? Right? The greatest live service game ever? We're in a mountain of shit of live service games, and you have the balls to stand on your soapbox and say this is going to be the greatest live service game ever? Get the fuck out of my face.
Here's what I didn't like about the last look. I played 2042, right? And when it first came out in the beta, I was like, no, I'm not playing this until it comes to Game Pass. And when it came out to Game Pass, I started playing it. And it took them. They had 8 maps in the game. And then over the next 12 months, they just fixed the 8 maps that they put in the game originally. Like, the mind-bogglingness of this is like, so you put shitty 8 maps in the game, and then you took the next 12 months to fix the 8 maps without giving us new maps, and just slowly but surely gave out the same maps you already sold us. It was amazing. I felt so bad for people, and a little bit, not too much, because the people that paid $125 for that game, you made an idiotic choice at that point in your life, and I hope you learned from it, okay? Because you had to wait 18, 19, 20 months before that game was finished and fixed. And now it's actually back to square one, and now they don't even support it anymore. The last season was just out. Season 7 was the last season they did. So there you go. You paid the money up front, and you waited until it's done supporting it now.
Just go down the checklist of the Battlefield, what Battlefield game's supposed to be, right? A Battlefield game was supposed to have a single-player campaign. You play through it. It's a story about what's going on in the game. And then when you complete the game, you now play the multiplayer game with your friends until the next Battlefield game comes out. Like, that's the flow of a Battlefield game. So they took out the single-player campaign. They took out all the story missions. They took out everything that the game was, just put multiplayer in it, which means you worked on just multiplayer with 3 teams, and it sucked balls. So you guys couldn't even do a multiplayer game, just multiplayer with 3 teams.
It'd be different, though.
Where am I supposed to be excited, right? The essence of the game is ruined. You don't care about it. Call of Duty, same deal, right? When they panic, they just sprinkle in zombies and call it a day. Like, what do you want me to be excited about?
Yeah. Well, whenever they release their next press statement and say, "Well, we learned from our mistakes from Battlefield 2042,"
yeah,
and then we all clap and cheer.
They'll put 9 maps at the start. They'll put 9 maps at the start and fix those over 8 months.
Kingard, I would believe you if you were any other person on the planet saying that I've learned from my mistakes and we're moving on. But what we're listening to a prostitute who says, I've made some bad choices in my life. I've got to stop sleeping with dudes, and then I'll do better. And then next month, I just start sleeping with a big group of new dudes again because that's my business. I'm a whore, and so I sleep with dudes. That's what this is.
Somebody clip that.
Yeah.
For the love of
I
God.
was going to say this is a bad
I
clip.
don't understand. I don't understand what it is you think is happening. You think the magic game is coming, right? You guys still believe a magic game is coming. I can't even believe. I want to get in a betting pool with everybody in this room about how to get money from you, and you would be happy. It would be like me playing poker with a bunch of guys who don't know poker, right? I come like the friend, I bring the pizza and the beer, we hang out, we're going to play poker. But really what I'm doing is I know how to play poker and you don't. So I'm just reading you and destroying you and basically harvesting money from you. And you're my friends. You're my friends. We're buddies. We're hanging out every Friday night. And you don't think about that. Since I started playing with Sarge, been playing for 6 months, he's never really lost. He's lost here and there. But all in all, he's gotten about $4,000 off of us Sarge, the last 4 months, but he keeps bringing the beer and pizza. What a great guy Sarge is.
Aren't they having fun, though? It's about having fun, right? As long as they're having fun.
Well, it's about having fun if everybody knows how to play poker, and then every so often people change money and we're all having fun. But if I'm harvesting my friends, if I'm basically harvesting my friends every week and nobody says anything, then who's to blame? I was just playing poker.
Yeah.
Remember, I brought the beer and pizza. Why is everybody mad at me? I just know how to play poker. So what the fuck is the matter with you guys?
So let's go back to the handheld device for Xbox, right? So there's rumors going on that Microsoft is making a handheld. So with that, there's something new that could make more proof of this, because Xbox has a Xbox app on Windows is getting even more handheld friendly. Now, I personally think they're just making it more handheld friendly for the handhelds that are already out there. Okay, not for their handheld that they're going to make, right? In my morning show, I talk about I don't see Microsoft, who's the third in the console war, okay, who's got the parity between the S and the X and how they're doing all this. And I can't imagine them putting more research and development into another device to compete with the already devices that are already out in the market that can play their games already. Right, so now they're talking about the compact mode will soon have controller improvements to navigate and improve game launcher. Microsoft introduced a compact mode for the Xbox app on Windows last year, which is designed to improve the handheld experience. While the combat mode initially focuses on the UI improvements for small screens, Microsoft is moving on to tackling some of the challenges in navigating around the Xbox app with the D-pad and sticks. Now, they're talking about just on the other ROG and Steam Deck and whatnot, but do you think, Kingard, that they're going to come out and Microsoft is their next big thing next month when they have their big conference, that they're going to come out and tell you that they're making a handheld and they're going to be competing in the handheld market? Or do you believe that they're just going to put their stuff on other people's handhelds?
Nothing we've seen in the last, 5 years gives me any reason to think that they really want to be the next big handheld. But I absolutely see them pushing for having their apps and their maybe Game Pass, something accessible by handheld. I mean, that just kind of seems out of left field. I feel like they got too much going on with Game Pass and acquisitions to even want to bother making a handheld device. I don't know, that sounds weird to me.
Yeah.
So I guess to answer your question, no, I don't. I'd be surprised if they said, "Here's the Xbox handheld." But then again, the Steam Deck, Xbox is in the business of copying everybody else. So maybe it could be something they give a shot. I don't know. I don't think so, but I'd be, yeah.
Sarge, do you think they're going to make a handheld, or do you think they're going to work off of other people's handhelds? You're muted again.
I think that the whole handheld controversy is a smokescreen. It gives people something to talk about. I don't think after this entire time of Microsoft fighting against making new hardware because they lose money on hardware and they're trying to get people into an ecosystem, I don't think making a handheld system is something that's in the cards, like logistically. It makes no sense to want to open up another screen
Right.
when you already have the ones that existing in front of you. Now, usually when you go off on a tech sidebar here, you're looking to compete with somebody else who's in that sphere. Now, if you were saying that Microsoft wants to compete against Nintendo, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. Like, Nintendo's got the lockdown on, I have a handheld and walk around with it and I can play my system anywhere and all the games and things that I have. I don't think Microsoft is willing to admit defeat to Sony in 1 year and then say, let's go attack Nintendo in their backyard and see how well we can
Steam
do.
Deck,
I don't think so. I do think that there's a niche market for people who like their little powerful handhelds. I 100% agree. But as far as you getting an entire ecosystem and an economy out of a handheld system, I don't believe so.
I think the only way that if they do make a handheld, it can't just be a handheld. It can't be a standalone handheld device. It has to do what Switch does, where you dock it, and then it's a console on your screen, and then when you undock it, it's a handheld. If they come out with just a handheld, I think this is stupid in so many ways, shape, and form, because with the parity between the S and the X, and they come out with a game, so let's say Starfield 2 in the future comes out. It's got to run on the S, it's got to run on the X, and it's got to run on their handheld. And which one of those devices do you think is holding back the rest of the devices if they're doing parity across those things? Now, obviously,
the potato.
Yeah, they could throw out the parity thing, which I think they've already started doing because of Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield now with 60 frames per second and stuff like that. But I just don't feel like they're doing it. And I will say I am wrong when they go, hey, we have a handheld. I'll be like, well, you're fucking idiots. But they're gonna, it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess to better summarize my answer on this, I could see them announce some sort of software or app or service. I do not predict they will be
an actual device.
Hardware.
Yeah, hardware.
Absolutely not. I don't see that.
All right. So from that, there's two stories I want to talk about that are kind of like the same, right? So there's Dead Island 2. They just announced, the devs confirmed that they have a 1 million player milestone, which for them is fantastic, right? So the people that made Dead Island 2, and recent update for the post on Twitter, Dumpster Studios spoke about the future of Dead Island 2 and the top-tier zombie slasher that was released in 2023 after more than 10 years in development. Correlates sort of like with Remedy and stuff like that, right? And also has been 1 year since the game has also been released, and it counts Dam Buster as far from finished from open world post-apocalyptic. It says we've had well over 7 million players enter Hell and Braid, melting 24 billion zombies slayed, and we also truly are honored to nominate for the best action game of the Game Awards last year, and more recently with the best British game and estimated the BAFTAs. So, do you think, like, what commands success right now? They always tell the numbers of people, not sales anymore, right? So
I was about to say, where's the revenue?
Yeah, there's no talks of sales. And now I'm gonna link this up with Alan Wake 2 as well, right? Alan Wake 2 said it's the fastest selling game to their credit, right? They never said it's most profitable in any way because they still haven't paid back the actual budget of the game. So games like this, right? Games like Hi-Fi Rush, games like Dead Island, games like Alan Wake 2, where they're successful, they have millions of people playing and have hours in the game, but what is success? Like, can you go a little bit more into detail? Because I know you came into my streams a couple of times talking about Remedy Studios with Alan Wake 2 with their situation. Can you go more into that and then kind of, answer the question about Dead Island 2, if it's a success or not?
Yeah, so I can speak pretty well on the Alan Wake 2 situation. On the Dead Island and Hi-Fi Rush, it's a lot more conjecture. But with Alan Wake 2 specifically, going off of Remedy's history, if you look at their games since Max Payne, because Max Payne was incredibly popular, but after Max Payne, so you would have Alan Wake Remaster, Alan Wake American Nightmare, Alan Wake 2, and Control. I guess before Alan Wake 2, so leave Alan Wake 2 out of it for now. Their history is that they release a game and it never does explosive sales numbers. It's relatively mediocre compared to, I don't know, your Call of Duties, your Halos, your whatever. but they enjoy pretty consistent sales for a few years. And then when they announce their next game, because their games are connected in the same universe, kind of like the Marvel universe,
Right.
the previous games shoot up in sales, spike. Take Control, for example, came out in 2016, sold 3 million copies across 3 years. So an average of 1 million a year, but that's not exactly what it did. It was kind of like this.
Right.
And then when they announced Alan Wake 2, guess what? Boom. Shot up another million. So another 25% 4 years after release. So Alan Wake 2, Epic would be stupid. They're the publisher.
Yep.
Epic would have been stupid to assume that Alan Wake 2 would do anything different from a previous game. And I think they knew that because Remedy has their track record to show our games don't sell great in the first year. It's after several years. And guess what? They're working on Control 2. That's the next game they're going to come out with. So they're expecting the exact same thing to happen again that happened with the first Control and Alan Wake Remastered, as with their last 2 games. That's what I think.
Is the code name Kestrel? Is that supposed to be Control 2, or is that
no? That was the multiplayer game one that got canceled. I believe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which I say good. I don't know what Remedy's doing making a live service game. Thank God. Anyway, I'm glad to hear that got canceled. But yeah, so it's kind of like Hi-Fi Rush. I've never played Hi-Fi Rush, so take what I say with a grain of salt.
Slow sales burned across the way.
What I hear is that for a small studio to make a niche game with its fan base, they make something unique, they make something creative. That is, over a period of time, a success by their metric. But when they're owned by the most valuable company in the world, who also owns IPs like Call of Duty, Diablo, Halo, they're looking at it from their perch going, that's not profitable enough. Again, $0 billions. So instead of selling a bunch of McDoubles, we want to sell steaks because those are what we get the most upcharge on.
Right.
So I thank God that Remedy only had the publishing rights of Alan Wake given to Microsoft rather than their studio, because their studio would have absolutely been shut down. They tried to convince Microsoft for 9 years to let them make Alan Wake 2, and Microsoft said no, even though Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which was $20 on Xbox Arcade, did well. It was over time they did well, not enough at the beginning. And Sam Lake, the creative director at Remedy, was very vocal about that, even as far back as like 2016, 2014, maybe even 2012, was like, Microsoft won't let us make it because it didn't make sales fast enough. Yeah. So they purchased it back with the profits they made from Control, and then gave it to Epic. And Epic said, yes, do it. So my guess with Hi-Fi Rush and Dead Island 2 is that they probably are going to be successful in the sense that they're going to turn a profit at some point. Maybe they have, maybe it's not much. But because so many people are paying more attention and the news is paying more attention to the live service games out there, why would a small studio want to go spout about how much revenue they made when it's pennies compared to Call of Duty, Fallout 76, whatever? That's what I think. I think it's all relative from my perspective. And that's not me trying to cope as a Remedy fanboy. Like, that's just, that's their history. That's what they've done.
Well, I want to add one more before I let Sarge answer. Now that Hellblade 2 is coming out, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
This is the same type of game as that, right? It's the same type of game as like a Dead Island 2, as a Hi-Fi Rush, where it was popular within the people that played it, but it's still like a niche market and it'll make money over time, right? So Hellblade 2 started on PlayStation originally, or I'm sorry, Hellblade started on PlayStation originally. Okay, it was a timed exclusive and then moved over to PC and Xbox after the fact. Now, Ninja Theory got bought out by Microsoft, and now they're making this exclusively for where it's on Microsoft and PC, but it's not going because it only sold 1 million copies. Okay, and 500,000 of that came from PC and PlayStation last time, and now this time it's on Game Pass. And so where's that sale going? What's happening with this game? It's 2 weeks away, and they're barely even advertising. Marketing started coming out this week, but still, like,
it answers itself. I think Microsoft doesn't have confidence in it. They're not going to put money into its marketing. They're just going to let it pass. They're going to let it go. They're going to release it on Game Pass. The people who are fans of the first one will probably play this one. They don't believe for a second that if they pump a bunch of money into marketing, that's going to change the fact that it's a niche game. It's not a general audience's game. Have y'all played the first Hellblade?
I didn't. I have no interest in the game whatsoever. Yeah.
Sarge, did you? Dude, it's not for me. All right, I'll put it nicely. It's not for me. I have never in my life felt like it was more of a chore to finish a game as it was when I played the first Hellblade. But that just tells me that it was a beautiful game. Audio design was excellent. Story was interesting, but it is a walking sim through and through from my opinion. So I think the second one, I couldn't be less excited about it. I don't care. And I'm someone that defends Alan Wake 2, saying it's not a walking sim. So if that says anything about how boring I think these games are, how boring a lot of people probably think this game's going to be, let that be some evidence for you. So I think Microsoft's thinking the same thing. They're like, this game's too niche. It's not worth the marketing push because it won't do that well anyway.
Did you play it on Xbox or did you play it on PlayStation when you played it?
Xbox.
Okay, so my next question is, on your Xbox, have you noticed any advertisements on your Xbox for Hellblade 2 since you played Hellblade 1?
It was a while ago when I played the first one, so I couldn't tell you the difference. But
if you boot up right now on your Xbox,
yes, on my home screen, there is, for the last couple weeks, there has been a pre-install Hellblade 2 right there in my face.
And you haven't bought it?
No.
Okay, so I haven't played it. And on my Xbox, it doesn't show up at all. It doesn't show me that the game, I didn't even know it was coming out until 2 days ago when someone said it comes out on the 21st. I was like, where's the marketing for this thing? I went into the store. The only thing I see is 50% off right now for Hellblade 1 is part of this, like the sale that's going on for a bunch of different games. And I go, I wonder if I bought that game, if then they would start marketing me Hellblade 2 because they know I bought the first one. Because now, because of signing in with your account and they follow everything that you do, what games you play, what type of games you play, it's like a surgical knife now. They can literally focus market on the people that are interested in the game instead of just blowing money, putting it out there to see who wants to play the game. Because obviously, it's a very niche market. And why would they waste marketing on people that are not going to play it at all or even care about it when they put it towards? So it's interesting that it's on your Xbox. It's not on my Xbox. And we're both Xbox. You think it's on Game Pass. It's like, why wouldn't you just promote it? Because it's on Game Pass anyway.
Well, you know, the Xbox already does recommend some games to you based on what you've played.
Yeah.
And if it's looking at my history, I've been streaming Alan Wake 2. So maybe that's got something to do with it.
Similar type game, yeah.
Oh. Maybe. You know, that could be a reason.
So Sarge,
like I see horror games pop up since I've been playing Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I get a lot of like orc games because I play a lot of Fallout 76 and other open world games and stuff like that. So Sarge, with Hi-Fi Rush, with Dead Island 2, with Hellblade 2, with Alan, well, there's a lot of fucking twos besides Hi-Fi Rush. With these types of games, these niche types of games that don't make money right away, and we talked about this earlier in the show about what's success, you know, with the Game Pass era, like what does it mean to you with these games? Obviously, Xbox and Mike and Phil Spencer, like I said earlier, will let them make these games, but they don't make the money that they're supposed to make. So what happens to games like this, like in the future, you know?
I think that the companies look at certain games under a certain light. I don't think all games are looked at equal. We live in a time now where I don't have to advertise for every game that my company makes because I know there's at least 60, 70, sometimes 100 different YouTubers or Twitch guys who are going to pick up the game and play it for their 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 loyal followers. So word of mouth in gaming goes a lot more further than me spending 30 grand for a 30-second spot on anything, whether it be on YouTube or on television or in between some kind of college game or whatever they're doing now, right? That being said, the definition of words matter. And I think that since the internet has turned into what it is now, they keep changing the definition of words. What is successful? what do you consider successful as a gamer, and what does the business consider successful? Now, in normal business terms, if I invest in a product, I'm probably looking for at least 5 or 6 times my return.
Sure.
Is usually what I'm looking at when I invest into something in for my company. That's usually what you're looking at. 3 times used to be it, but now you have to worry about all these other factors. So usually I get 5 or 6 times the amount back to cover all your costs and to come out with a profit, right? And I think that they look at these games and they say to themselves, well, they're already running numbers. They know the genre of the game, they know the type of game, they know the games that it's done in the past, and they compare that to the population of people who played the game before and the population of games that are on now. And they say to themselves, well, what do you think our number is going to be, right? And to them, is that number successful, right? Now, I look at Game Pass as a cushion to all games that they invest in, right? A lot of people argue and say that, well, it costs a lot of money to keep up all these servers with these games. And I'm telling you, I don't believe so. I don't believe it costs as much as you think, right? And the amount of money that they clear monthly from Game Pass gives them the luxury of making these choices for these games, right? And they decide, well, are we going to advertise for this or not? Well, if we advertise for it, it's going to cut into the profits that we think we're going to make. Why don't we let it just run like we did before? We do a stealth drop and we see how it does, right? I don't think that they look at those games very serious as they do the live service or the AAA games. Do they look at it as a product? Yes. Do they care about it? Initially, yes. But them caring about it is like the difference between Hi-Fi Rush releasing or Helldivers 2 releasing.
Right.
Right? You didn't care about either of them. One did extremely well, and one did okay, according to everyone screaming at the top of their lungs, this game is awesome. Remember, game comes out, everybody's talking about it. Talk it up, great reviews, great whatever. But bottom line is, how many people bought it?
Right.
How many people bought it? And you're not getting that language anymore. You're not getting, we sold this. You're not getting that. You're getting this many people engaged with it.
Yeah.
Fastest selling game that we've sold. All these abstract words that don't mean anything in the business sense, right? What did you sell? Now, as soon as it's on Game Pass, you have to factor in the Game Pass cushion, right? I've got X amount of money to spend every month. Does this game on Game Pass need a little bit more help to keep the studio afloat, or does it sell well on its own?
Well,
and you talked about this in the past. You talked about there's a deal with everybody about how much we're going to pay you for the game being on Game Pass, based on a whole bunch of factors.
That's for third party.
Based on a whole bunch, right? Yeah. Based on a whole bunch of factors. But if it's a first party title,
the first party titles don't get those deals.
Right, you're just getting on Game Pass.
You're already in the company, and they just put you on Game Pass, right?
That's correct. So now, how do I base what I'm going to give that company if it's on Game Pass? It's a first-party title. Well, I would have to say, based on investment people who want to know, well, what's the engagement like?
Right.
How many people who have Game Pass are actually playing this game?
Right.
And then you can base your compensation off of that.
So, like a game like Tunic, right? Tunic was made by one guy, and let's say it cost $2 million to make. Right? Took them 5 years, $2 million. That's what it was. They would rather have a game like that and put that on Game Pass because they pay the guy up front. They're like, how many copies would you like to sell? They're like, 500,000. Great. Here's extra for you, right? Go on and make another game, right? And that's more profitable for them because they'll get the people that come on. If it's 200,000 people, 300,000 people that played on Game Pass at $10 a pop, they'll make their money back on that, right? Because that's not a big gamble. But games like this, games like Ninja Theory's Hellblade and Dead Island and Alan Wake 2, where they're spending 30 million, 50 million, 75 million, around that range, they got to make a lot more sales up front, and they have to get the Game Pass members. And that's why the Game Pass number doesn't move a lot, because these middle tier, and it's not against any of the games, just mid-tier AA games or low-tier AAA games where their profits are going to be really minimal because of the price range that they're in, okay? Like, can you imagine if Spider-Man was on Game Pass, right? Well, one, they wouldn't have sold 7 million copies, right? It just switch hands, right? PlayStation doesn't own Spider-Man. Spider-Man's on Xbox. it would need to sell 21 million subscriptions instead of 7 million copies on Game Pass, because it has to triple what it's doing, because they need that money. $10. If me, you, and King are all bought the game, that's a $30 game, right? That counts as one sale for that game. So 3 of us play that game on Game Pass for that one time, and it's a $30 game. That's 1 copy sold. That covers it. So now, if it needs to sell 3 million copies, it needs to sell 9 million copies at $30. Now, if it's a $40 game, it needs to go even further. And if it's a $60 price tag like Starfield, this is why 10 million people played the game. But we know 2 million, 3 million bought the game at $100 a pop, okay? And everybody else played it on Game Pass.
I'll agree with you to a point, but we're using...
We don't know what the budgets are, and we don't know.
But you're using abstract numbers to try to fill in the gaps that we don't know. That you're saying that because
that's the only evidence that we have.
Pass, I get it. I get it. In my mind, it goes on both sides of the fence. I believe that currently, because of what's been going on, I believe most of these companies, especially AAA companies, are bloated.
Sure.
I believe that they're bloated. And that's the reason why they have such a hard time making back the money, because they spend 5 years crunching their asses off with 200 people, 300 people plus, and they still can't get this game out, right? Because they're under some kind of... In the world of business, deadlines have to be set, otherwise nothing gets done.
Correct.
You can't
just keep drawing it out.
Right. You can't say to a game developer, you can make this game, let me know when it's done. Like, it's not going to happen. But at the same token, repeatedly now, over and over again, we're running into the same problems. I don't believe that they have found the magic number for what it is that they want to do. If we were in normal game world where make a game, sell a game, I don't think they'd be having this problem. But I think because of the games that they want them to make, these live service games, these battle pass extenuations of what this game is supposed to be, and it's got to fit into this box, that it takes a lot longer to make that type of game, because you have to put in all the mechanics in order for it to work the way they want it to work, instead of just making a game, right? It's got to have some gotcha mechanics. It's got to have this kind of mechanics. Like, let's not forget the last 5 years of all the psychologists and things that they've hired for game studios to figure out what makes people play games, right? Let's not pretend we have goldfish brains and they didn't hire a slew of psychologists in order to make games now, because what makes you play? Same token, they can't afford to make this type of game, because every time they do, think of it from their perspective, they still believe that if I invest $100 million, $150 million towards this game, because of the mechanics involved, we're going to make our game back. We're going to make our money back eventually.
Yeah, but they can't do that with Game Pass.
Eventually,
they can't do that because Game Pass limits that. Because Game Pass, if a game comes out this month in May, if there's another game coming out in June, that game's dead. That game's dead because you're interested in the next game in June.
It's only dead if it doesn't have the mechanics to keep it in there longer. Then it goes away.
Right. See, that's the answer to the scenario you mentioned earlier, 30. You said that you got to have so many subscriptions come in per one sale of the game. Well, the answer is it's a live service with extended microtransactions over time. That's what it is. And so not only is the budget more expensive because of the game itself, but and the development time, but also they got staffers working on the game after release. So you got payroll to keep up with.
Yeah.
So that's what they believe is the answer. And I think the other answer would be, it kind of makes me wonder, like, if games like Hellblade 2 or just the similar stuff, maybe conjecture purely, I wonder if Microsoft views those as like burner games where it kind of just pads out Game Pass and makes it look like
the value.
It makes it look like they're adding new things when in reality they still want to push you over to the Fallout 76s. They still want to push you over to the Diablo 4s. They want you to go in those games and spend more money, and then release a smaller, more niche game maybe every month or so, or add one to the service to make it look like they're building the catalog.
Right. That's why they don't care about Hi-Fi Rush. That's why they don't care about the other games like that. Yeah.
Right.
Because the niche game is just that. It's there and it's gone. It's not going to get them to stay in for months at a time.
Right.
You got to give people homework assignments that they have to be in the ecosystem to play this game.
It goes back to the general audience's argument I made earlier. they're putting out these niche games to try to draw in everybody so that, or more types of people, so that they see the game that almost everyone interacts with or plays, that more generally appealing game, and then they slide into that one. They came for Hi-Fi Rush or Hellblade 2, but then they see, oh, I have access to Call of Duty here. I have access to Diablo here.
Yep.
Well, I'll go ahead and play that. Oh, a battle pass, $10.
Yep.
Oh, sure.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll get that.
Yep.
Right.
That's why I've said in the past, they only need you to be on Game Pass for 3 months, because they feel that each person that comes into Game Pass, not only do they have the $10 each month or $12, $15, whatever tier you're in, but then in that time, you're either going to make a purchase of a microtransaction, you're either going to buy a battle pass, you're either going to get a skin, or you're going to buy the game itself after you played it. And you're like, oh, I want to keep this game. And then you purchase the game afterwards and they give you like 25% off or whatnot, right? So they've got so many different avenues. Okay, going from that, this is the last topic. Marvel's Rivals is coming out tomorrow, right? It's open access of what the stuff is. I had a video about a month.
I didn't know that was tomorrow. Holy cow!
It's tomorrow,
okay.
Right? I didn't get a code, but you can get codes by watching people, and then friends can invite other friends and stuff like that. So I think my community is going to give me a code sometime this weekend. But Marvel Rivals, I said I had a video about a month ago talking about this game needs to do what Overwatch didn't. Right? Overwatch 1 and 2, for the longest time, they told you PvE's coming, PvE's coming, PvE's coming, and PvE never came. Now we get this Marvel's Overwatch game, and it looks... I like the art style myself. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really... Here, I'll bring it up on the screen right now. Okay? This to me, I would take a Marvel's Avengers in this format, okay? Like, if they gave me this in a Marvel's Avengers with a Hulk like this, or a Storm, or a Magneto, like, holy Christ, like, this is the game I'm looking for, okay? But it's sad because this is an Overwatch game, right? This is a PvP type of game. Now, my question to you guys is, do you think that this game needs a PvE mode in it? Or do you think it's okay, it's just an Overwatch clone, be PvP? Or do you think they need to add a PvE mode? Kinger, do you need a PvE mode to play this game?
If not a PvE mode, something to justify its existence other than Overwatch with Marvel Paint. I mean, because if this game comes out and it's identical or even slightly less good than Overwatch, people are just going to play Overwatch. So it has to have something else aside from the Marvel IP. So I would say, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Sarge, does it need a PvE mode, or is it okay just being a PvP copy clone of Overwatch? It's third person, not first person, by the way, obviously.
Is it? Okay.
They got to sell you those microtransactions.
They got to sell you the costumes.
The skins, right.
You got to sell you the microskin.
Yeah, this is a free-to-play game when it comes out.
I mean, look, does it need a PvE mode? No.
You don't think so?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. But I'm sure that depending on how long people play it for, right? What happens after 6 months after everybody unlocked the skins that they wanted or paid for the skins that they wanted, and now you say, well, we have enough people here, but we don't have enough things to put in here. Now we do stories about the heroes, just like we were supposed to do the stories for the heroes for Overwatch that we never did. Right? So that would give you a reason to stay if they were to do that, because Marvel characters have plenty of stories about them to keep you in. But does it need it? No. You could just, people who just like Overwatch and like Marvel will play this game.
Okay.
Sure. To be a decent game, I don't think it needs that either. I do think it's going to struggle to differentiate itself from Overwatch, though. And one easy way in would have been, I think, the PvE mode that Overwatch promised and never delivered. Here it is.
Yeah.
And played over here.
It is.
Now they could have a PvE mode that's just not announced yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they do, but obviously they haven't said anything. There's a long list of characters. In my video that I made over a month ago, I said that this has to have minimum double the characters they showed. I think they showed 18 at the time. I think it's like 19 now. So there's a list that came out. Let me open that up for a second.
Is that not enough? That's a lot of characters.
No, see, I don't think so, right? So hear me out, okay? With a game like this, you have to put as many characters as possible. Bad, good, whatever, X-Men. So they have Hulk, Punisher, Storm, Loki. Human Torch is not there, but they say he's in this leaked document. Human Torch, Doctor Strange, Mantis, Hawkeye, Captain America, Rocket Raccoon, Hela, Cloak and Dagger, Black Panther, Groot, Ultron, Magic. Hold on, next page. Black Widow, Iron Man, Venom, Spider-Man, Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Thor, Mr. Fantastic, Winter Soldier, Penny Parker, Star-Lord, Blade, Namor, Adam Warlock, Jeff the Land Shark, which I have no idea who the hell that is, Psylocke, and Wolverine. Okay, so the reason I think they should have more characters than less characters is because you don't know how long this game is going to be out. You see what I'm saying? You don't know the popularity of this game. You don't know how long it's going to last. If it's going to, it could fall. It could be an Outlaw or what was the other one? Lawbreakers. It could be like Lawbreakers and just gone by 6 months. Okay, or it could be like Overwatch where it's out for 5-6 years and they have an esports team. Who knows? I think the more characters you put in, one, because it's a Marvel IP. Okay, Overwatch had this where they had to make all the characters and sell you these characters why they were cool. You already know who's cool. You already have the person that you like in X-Men or Fantastic Four or the bad guys. You know what I mean? So the more people they put in, the more appeal it is that you can come back and play the game. And this is why I think they need a PvE mode, because PvP would be really hard to balance with all these characters. But if you put a PvE mode in there, you can sell a lot of skins, and you don't have to worry about balancing for certain things.
Hey, go first, Kingard. I'm trying to formulate my answer.
Yeah, I just think that if the Marvel IP were enough to carry this game, Marvel's Avengers wouldn't have flopped. And I know that might be an unfair comparison because this game's PvP. You know, it's a different type of game for sure. It's just it looks just like Overwatch, and I just don't know. With Overwatch 2 also being free to play, I just don't know. Because the people who like this kind of game, I think they're either already playing Overwatch 2 or they're playing, what is that free game? I forget what it's called. There's an Overwatch clone. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me.
Talking about Smite or
Paladins?
Oh, Paladin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think they're already playing those games and they've already got hundreds, maybe thousands of hours invested into grinding. I don't know if the Marvel IP is enough to get them to drop that and then come play this one instead. So without something to really differentiate it, the third person helps. I think. Because there's plenty of people that do not want competitive FPS, any more of those. I'm one of them. So third person interests me. That could be a reason why I give it a shot. But PvE just would fit so well into a Marvel game that I think it's bizarre that's not even. I mean, I guess you tell me. Have they said anything about anything PvE?
They haven't said anything. There's 5 game modes that they said that are in the thing. Let me find this. One of my buddies sent me this inside the direct message. Let me find this real fast. There's 5 game modes. It says tutorial is one game mode, right? It says learn the basics of techniques in fighting a superhero with Galactica. Okay. It says quick match. Choose your hero and defeat enemies with the complete mission objectives. Okay, so there's like mission objectives within the quick match. All right. Pocket Universe. Respawn as a flexible location and eliminate as many enemies as you can. Now, that sounds to me like a PvE mode, like a horde mode type of thing, but I don't know. Then there's Custom. Create a customized match to play with or against your friends. And then Competitive. Ascend through the ranks and thrilling, intense battles. So, I don't know. I just feel like Overwatch failed in a lot of ways because there was that PvE, people wanted that story, and I think if they did something, people are in chat are saying the same thing with like Injustice, like an Injustice story or a Mortal Kombat type of story, like the PvE type of content like that would go a long way with a game like this. I don't know. I just feel like any fighting game. I said this exact same thing with Warner Brothers Multiverses that's coming out later this month again, right? The more characters you put in, the more appeal you have. Like I hate. Where they take it, like, let's say Wolverine's not in at launch, and they dangle Wolverine. He's in a season pass down the way in 6 months from now. But 6 months from now, 12 months from now, the player base is like this. They think Wolverine's going to shoot it back up, and that's not the case, right? It's like, put the characters in now, and then charge off your cosmetics or whatnot. Put a group of new people in per season with the cosmetics they're selling, but don't sell characters. Sell the cosmetics for the characters to make them more badass looking or whatnot. I just feel like with these comic book games, they screw it up all the time. Look at the Suicide Squad. Put as many villains in the game as possible. Go up against as many people as possible with as many heroes as possible. Marvel's fucked it up. Suicide Squad fucked it up. All these other games, even the other Marvel game I played, Future Revolution, that was a mobile game. They had 8 characters, and then they added like 3 characters down the road. But then the game closed down. Wolverine, they put him in the game 3 months later. Game closed. I'm like, come on, bro.
So the way this is going to be perceived is you're trying to bait the consumer base into buying a Marvel game. Perhaps he said it earlier. What types of characters are they in game? Like, what is Hulk in the game? Is he a tank? Is he
they show you.
Like I get it.
I'll
But
show
what
you.
I'm saying is that the balancing is a factor.
Sure.
The playability is the factor. Will it be fun early on? Yes. Right? But the same thing is going to happen with a more popular IP. Why did the upper management think that as popular as Overwatch was, why couldn't you make the stories for the characters and sell that to the consumer base? Because somewhere along the line, they figured how much money it's going to cost us to do this, and how much are we going to sell for this character? How much are we going to sell for that DLC? And by them not making it wasn't going to be enough. It wasn't going to be enough. That's why you never got the PvE that you wanted for Overwatch.
Yeah.
So what makes you believe, because you got a better IP of characters, that you still think that that's going to be a factor? Like, you're going to make more money because it's Hulk as opposed to the monkey. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, I didn't play Overwatch. The space monkey. Like,
I forget his name too.
Like, who cares? Like, yes, it's a Marvel game, but everybody in this chat knows what kind of game you should make with Marvel characters. And yet, after 10 years, you still have these guys who don't know what kind of game to make with Marvel characters.
Well, okay, so I think the balancing in this game is going to be pretty simplistic. I think a lot of the characters are going to feel the same, but obviously they're going to have different animations to make it look different. Like, you want to be Hulk, but Hulk's not a defensive guy, right? And Doctor Strange is a defensive guy, and Groot's a defensive guy, where the Punisher and Storm are offensive, but Loki and Raccoon are healers. You know what I mean? So there's
Hulk is defensive.
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean,
but
do you see what you see? Right, you see what I mean? Like, you're not even talking about a video game anymore. You're talking about playing chess with Marvel characters.
It's rock, paper, scissors, not even chess.
And all you want to do is be Hulk in a comic book game.
Yeah. Well, it's rock, paper, scissors. And this is why I said that they're in my video about a month ago, I said that they're going to have a hard time balancing with all these different heroes, and this is why they need a PvE. So.
It's sad that you could take the greatest IP on the planet that has the most people across generations who know it and adore it and would love to live inside that world, and the suits can't agree on what type of game to make it.
They just want to make cosmetics. That's what it is. It's a dress-up game. That's what it is, Sarge. It's not really a fighting game. It's a fighting game disguised as a dress-up game.
It's mind-numbing to watch them flush down the toilet all these IPs of things that people actually like. And yet, for some strange reason, some sci-fi game related to nothing, which is basically a spoof on half the sci-fi games out there, people love.
Yeah.
I don't understand what these guys are doing. Right? What is it you need in the known world of IPs that you can't latch onto and just make a fun game? Right? They're corrupted by the lure of this unlimited money supply that they think they can do by running a live service game.
Right.
But yet they don't understand the actual universe the characters come from, the relations between the characters, the fun factor of why we want to be those characters. That to them is somewhere on the back burner. Yep. What they're more concerned about is, how do I get this guy to play Hulk for 20 hours? Because Steve in the psychology department says if they play Hulk for 20 hours, they'll buy 3 skins. That's what we're concentrating on.
You know what I've learned from this whole show? It all goes back to the Airbnb X-Men building, right? That person understands what people like. They just want a fucking building that looks like X-Men so they can spend the night, right? Where these guys that run companies, they don't understand what they have. The person at Airbnb knows what they have.
they chase the stuff that made a ton of money, but they don't know how to make that game and repeat it.
Right.
In the old days, you made a first-person shooter and somebody else made a more crazy-looking first-person shooter, and they would play it. Then they played one that had a first-person shooter that had a bunch of stories in it with crazy characters, but the gunplay was good. So now we've bought that one. But now you're trying to do live service games, and you're asking yourself, well, how do I get someone to play 150 hours of this?
Yeah. Well,
That's what you're saying. You're not saying how good the game is.
Put 150
you're just
characters
saying,
in.
how do I get them to play 150 hours? So you see it live in your face. Time crunch, time saver things, like all this list of shit. It's not about the game. It's not about what this game is. You're trying to copycat and trying to chase the money, but you don't even know how to do that. Never mind know the IP and what's entailed with it. You got a bunch of nerds who play the game like, why? Like you could make a fucking wrestling game with the Marvel characters, and 10% of the people are going to buy it because it's a wrestling game with Marvel characters.
I would buy it.
But
I got a problem. I like
right?
Marvel and Transformers. You put anything on them, and I'll be like, I want to play.
But this is what I'm saying. You have a generation of people who are looking at hero characters from their entire childhood, and you guys can't put those characters in a setting that's just fun. I'm not asking for anything else. You don't know how to put in characters that have been around for 100 years, and it's just fun.
This could be fun. It's just we don't know anything. We'll find out this weekend. We'll talk about it more next week. So, anything else left to say? Anybody?
So much to say, but I don't want to say anything else.
I'll take it a step further. I would say I think PvP is an outright mistake.
Really?
I think yes, I do. And I say that because it seems to me that unless now, if I'm wrong, I will gladly admit I'm wrong. I don't think I am based on what I've seen, but I will gladly admit I'm wrong. If you're putting Hulk and the Punisher against each other in a PvP game, you're right off the bat, you ought to know that game is not concerned in being a Marvel character sim. It's not.
Well, hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Let me give you some more information because there's team ups they can have in the game as well. So like if Rocket Raccoon and Groot get together, they can have like this ultimate ability and they do more damage.
Well, my point is that then Hulk versus Rocket and Groot, they're dead. They're dead every time.
Right, Hulk against anybody, they're all dead. Yeah.
They're dead. So my point is, it seems to me like the mechanics of the hero shooter have to, not are going to, they have to be prioritized over an effective and accurate sim of these characters in order to make a PvP game work. EVE, not at all. You want Hulk to be OP and have him smash hundreds of enemies? Great. He's not fighting other players, so there's no need to nerf him. Maybe to make it not too easy a little bit, sure.
Right.
Marvel's Avengers, that's just an example of just the game being too repetitive. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, Helldivers 2, the reason, part of the fact that some stuff is so OP is part of the fun, because they don't have to balance anything.
Right.
So in a PvP Marvel game,
but they have been.
Well, they have been, and that's been a controversy in and of itself.
We were going to talk about it, but I was like, we're not going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, that's been a controversy for sure. But in a Marvel game like this, I just don't see it. I think the appeal of the game needs to be you feel like the Marvel character, not you're playing Overwatch with a Marvel character skin. Because it would have been way easier for them just to make a deal with Overwatch and license the skins for sale like they did with Fortnite. That would have made them probably the same amount of money they're going to make here with way less effort. They could have just done that.
That's why I think they should have PvE, because I want to feel OP. I want to feel
Yes, 100%. 100%.
You are better off. You are better off making an Overwatch game with WWE wrestlers than you are making it with Marvel characters.
You know what? I would give that a shot. I would give that a shot. I would give that a shot.
I'm being dead serious. You want to put the Marvel characters in there because the impact of the sales, because it's Marvel characters.
Yeah, well, Marvel sells. Well, it used to sell anyway.
But I get it. But everybody, just like Ingrid said, everyone's looking at those heroes and they know them. They know what they can do. They know how they fight. They know everything, right? And you're putting them in a game where they're just running around shooting balls at each other, like they're running around with paintball guns. Like that's basically what they're doing. Like,
Yeah.
so what's the point of being Hulk? Cool to look at first 20 minutes. For the rest of the week, don't give a shit about this game, right? I would much rather it be WD wrestlers, and then every once in a while you run up, you do some special move, they scream out some shit, right, to the moon, and they just slam the guy. Like that would be more fun, right? But you want to put the Marvel character in there because you want to sell Barbie clothes to teenage boys
that's it.
for our Marvel characters.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I think it works for games like Fortnite, and it won't work for a game like this, because when you play Fortnite, you know what Fortnite is. It's not a Marvel game. Everyone knows that. The cosmetic is the cosmetic. But this game is you are
Hulk,
a Marvel character.
Yes, you are Doctor Strange.
Hulk.
Yes. Yep.
And you're gonna feel nerfed no matter what when it's a PvP scenario if you want it to be fair and balanced. So I think it needs PvE. I don't think if you want to do a PvP Marvel game, then in my opinion, you have to put it to where the characters are on a level playing field, as in you've chosen characters that are. Injustice, the fighting game,
Yeah,
that one kind of it kind of gets a pass because it's a fighting game, like it's 1v1.
yeah, but it has a story as well. It has a good
But it has a story that every single time that two characters that shouldn't be fighting are fighting, there's an explanation for why that's even able to happen. In a PvP setting, what are they going to do? There's going to be a cutscene every time talking about, oh, well, we actually dulled the Hulk's gamma radiation
I was gonna say,
for this match.
I've never played Injustice, so are you telling me if like Superman goes up against I don't know, give me a character that's like super weak. It doesn't
Batman.
matter. Okay, Batman versus Superman. They're like, well, it's a good thing you're in this room because I have my anti-kryptonite belt on, and this is why I can fight you. Is that what they do? Yeah.
In the campaign, yes. And the story in Injustice 1 and kind of 2, but definitely 1 are incredible for it. They do a really good job of that. But in the PvP, obviously you have to overlook that. So it doesn't make any sense in multiplayer on that game. But there's a campaign there that follows it as accurately as possible, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully I'll get to play it this weekend, and I'll give more information next week. All right, so that's gonna do it for Generation. Oh, Sarge, let's say something.
Before you do the closing, I wanted you to respond to the thing I had sent you. You never told me you got it. Did you watch that XCOM game that has superheroes in it? Did you look at that?
Oh yes, I did. I did know about it. Like last year, we actually looked at it on stream.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm losing it because I have so many names in my head.
It's called Capes.
Capes.
Yeah.
Capes.
Yeah.
It's XCOM. It's an XCOM turn-based thing, but you're superheroes.
I'll bring it up.
So like Midnight Suns?
Not class A superheroes, like superheroes they made up.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Hold on, let me see if I can find.
I mean, it's
it's called Capes, isn't it? It's
Kingard. If you stare at Helldivers and you think to yourself, "Wow, 5 years and 343 couldn't make it." Right?
I do.
Like that's what I look at when I look at Helldivers. I'm like, yeah, this is a great game. Like all I keep thinking about when I saw it, like I'm not putting down Helldivers at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
At all. I think it's great. Like I already see the build I would want if I was playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at I see ODST all day long. That's what I see. I see that when I see that game.
It took my first night of playing Helldivers 2, so probably 4 hours, and that spawned a Twitter tirade from me, and also a video the next day that's one of my best performing ones, trashing Halo and why it didn't do what Helldivers has done. So yeah, nope, I'm right there with you.
Thanks,
I mean, I worry that because of the high turnover rate and the lack of true leadership in the AAA sphere, that they are wasting good talent because these people are getting discouraged that they can't keep a job for more than 2 or 3 years or one game cycle. And now you have to, and I know this sounds trivial, but when you put Mike, this will start Mike on a whole tirade. I don't want to get him involved. But what I'm saying is, if you have a group of like 150 people that are working together and they work together for 5 years, they finally got into a rhythm with working with each other and understand the idea that they all had. And now you're going to put these people in a different room with different people altogether, and you think that that match is going to happen the same way, and it doesn't. It doesn't. And that goes for like most other jobs as well. You put a bunch of guys together doing a job, and like sometimes it works out well, sometimes it doesn't. But we're not talking about tens of millions of dollars on the line or hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, whether or not Steve and Bob can get along for the next 3.5 years, right? Because they're at each other the whole time of what ideas we want to do, right? That's why Larian, they said immediately afterwards,
We're done.
we're not doing another one.
We're done with you. Yeah.
Right? Because they knew how much they had to fight just to get that done.
Yeah. So
And they had the right to say, everyone go F yourself after they succeeded, because that's like saying, if you let us do what we're good at, we come out with the goods, period. But you want to fit the round peg in the square hole, right?
That's the story of Redfall to a T.
Yeah.
To a T.
Right. But let's not harp on them too badly, because the excuse that everyone's using in the media is, well, the developers of Redfall didn't want to make the game. That's why it sucked. But meanwhile, when you start a job, this is the job. This is the job that we paid you guys to do. Because you don't want to do it doesn't give you free reign to fuck up the game.
Right.
Well, right. Not only did they not want to do it, but they also weren't experienced in it either. And from a developer's point of view, what are they going to do? Just say, no, I don't want to do this and go look for another job? Because what are they going to put on their resume? I left because I didn't like
yeah. You didn't finish the
game.
You're not getting hired.
What are they supposed to do? So if anything, I would think they probably do need to just have to stick it out, and they probably just weren't good at it. That's it. Like I don't think there was any sabotage going on.
No,
I think they just weren't good at it.
The type of game that they were instructed to make, right?
Right. Yes, by ZeniMax, from what I understand. Yes.
Yeah, ZeniMax wanted to make the game, and they didn't want to make a co-op game. They wanted to make a more single-player game, whatever.
And then what are those devs going to do? Put on their resume, I helped make Redfall?
No, they're not putting it on their resume.
Not.
Yeah, what did you do for this year?
Probably
Well, I don't want to talk about those years. Yeah.
Leave of absence. Leave of absence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
lose. No wonder they couldn't make anything else after that.
So this game's like it's like an XCOM more than Midnight Suns, because Midnight Suns is more free. Like, it wasn't as structured. Like, you could move around the map, where this is like just like XCOM, where you click on the map and that's where your guy moves to and stuff like that. And these are all generic, like all original, I should say, not generic, but all original characters that they created. Small dev team, seems pretty cool. I was thinking about picking it up. I think it's in early access still. I don't think it's out yet.
So this isn't from the people who made XCOM. This is just like XCOM style.
I think it's people that used to work for the studio and they branched off into their own, and then they created this. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it's not gonna break any records, because you have to like this type of game. I just thought it was interesting.
It's definitely not coming to Xbox Game Pass.
It was a superhero type thing, and it's more chess driven. It's not just bigger gun wins.
Yeah.
It's how you use the character and when you use the abilities in order for you to win. It's not just the big gun wins.
All right.
I just thought it was interesting.
That's going to do it for us on episode 395 for Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. I'd like to thank my guest, the Kingard, for joining us this week. A lot of people in the chat were like, this should be the show every week. So I don't know if Kingard's schedule, what his schedule is like, but he's welcome back anytime, as always, to come on the podcast. So let's see. We'll be back Monday morning. I don't know if I'll be streaming because my birthday's on Sunday and my family's up here, and they usually hang out for the day. Like, they leave early in the afternoon. So I probably won't have a stream Monday morning for you guys. So we'll have a short week next week. Yeah. So off for the weekend. Make sure you guys check out some of our other videos that we have on this channel. We do upload shorts, gameplay, live shows, lots of different stuff. And we end each week with this podcast right here. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm. All the past broadcasts are up except this one right here, which you can watch right here on 30NSG. Kingard, tell them where they can find you.
Look me up, The Kingard, on YouTube. I have 3 channels, but really I mainly just have 2. One for streaming, one for video content.
What do you got going on? Any sneak peek on what your next story's about?
Yeah.
What your thing is?
Yeah, for sure. The video I'm working on right now is over digital media. I think the title I've landed on is digital media. We own nothing. So that should be, it's going to be one of the more broad videos I've ever done. It's not just going to be about gaming. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm still finishing the script right now. So it's going to be at least another week before that's out.
I found someone showed me another creator, small creator, like he's smaller than me. He's got sort of the same type of edit style as you. And I was like, oh, this reminds me of Kingard stuff, like inserting stuff. If you guys haven't seen Kingard stuff, you got to go watch it. You've probably seen it because we commented on this channel all the time. Man.
Yeah, you do good work.
Appreciate it. It's a lot of hours.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
It is. That's how it goes, man. You have to see the art you're trying to create. You got to see the flow that you're trying to do and how you build it in the edit room. And you do a good job. I'm sure it takes you a lot of hours, but
this is why I do live. This is why I do live.
Right. Yeah. It's 40 plus hours of editing on those videos that are like the 15 to 20 minute or more. Yeah. It's a full work week at minimum.
That's
it's a lot.
Mike gives them the conjugation between amount of minutes the video is and how much editing goes in there, and I think everyone just thinks like it's no big deal, like we're just doing something else. Like they don't get it. Yeah. He drops in the conjugation every once in a while, and someone will go like, "Really? Like, yeah, fucking really." That's how it goes. Right, 10-minute video, 20-minute video, 50 hours of editing. Like that's how it goes.
I would love to hire an editor, but we're not there yet. Yeah. Not with revenue. We're not there yet.
Yeah,
so.
it takes me when I edit my stuff. I literally do it live, do the breakouts live, and then when I go into the edit, I just pop, put the things, put it out there. Within 10 minutes, I got it up and running, and it takes me longer to put the description stuff in than it does the actual edit for me. But that's the way my content is. But
you're also live on camera, essentially performing
correct
for all of those hours. So the time is very much still there for you, probably even more so.
Sure, but I'm doing it live, so I don't have to edit, right? So I'm just cutting it afterwards, and minimum requirement is possible. Because if I put the edit that you did, I'd be 6 hours on air and 6 hours each day just editing.
That's my time with YouTube. It's probably a day or two scripting, about an hour filming, and then 40 to 50 hours editing. But that's what my YouTube time looks like.
But I want to say, people that edit their videos, look at the views they get compared to the person that doesn't edit them. It's a completely different beast. So the time I put in to edit some of my videos, they actually do better, and I understand that. But at the same time, I don't have the time to do it. So. But yeah, so check out Kingard. Love his content. You can check out Sarge here only. He joins us and plays some video games with us each and every single week. We play on Wednesday nights. We shoot the shit with Sarge while shooting the shit.
I think everyone should make a little poll on when I would actually crack open Baldur's Gate this year.
Oh,
maybe Christmas time. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think I could go that long.
No. All right, so make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond, please make sure you do a membership as little as $5. YouTube Lurker dropped the bomb earlier for 20 gifted memberships, so maybe you're one of the members now. You could be a part of the Discord. Once you're part of the Discord, even if your membership ends, you can still be part of the Discord. We have a big community, well, small but big community. It's very, very active over on our Discord, so I appreciate it very much. And you guys have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Game on, guys.
See ya.
They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.